Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mikey Seuss4. Today I'm known as Mikey Kirk, Canadian Super Captain Spy. This is a random stream we're running today, uh, mostly about the starship captains that are out there. Officially, according to Google, there are 12 series that spawned from the original Star Trek, 12 in total, that spawned from the original series, which premiered back in 1966, ran for 3 seasons. So today, what we're going to just discuss is mostly about the captains from each series. And I hate to tell you this ahead of time, so I'm going to say this right now so that everybody's aware. I did get to watch the original series, the animated series, then the Next Generation, then DS9, then Voyager, and then Enterprise. So if you're keeping track, that's 6 of the 12. But let's go ahead and list the ones I haven't seen much of. Discovery. Then there are Short Treks. Then there's Picard. Then there's Lower Decks. Prodigy. And then Strange New Worlds. Now, if you want to throw in the one that seems closest to any of these series, of course, some people mention the Orville, which starred Seth MacFarlane. So if you want to throw that in today, that's fine too. But I'm mainly concerned about the 12 series, which are the bulk of the Star Trek franchise, according to Google. So I believe I did say them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Well, we might as well get started since some people may not be here yet and they might be working. But I was just taking the idea from my friend, thank you, Daniel, Trusty Ape, who said, just run any, random uh, live streams when you can, and you know, and if people come, they come. If they don't, they don't, and that's fine. But you just want to make sure you put yourself out there. I said, yeah, that's fine. I can do that. I don't have a problem with that. So, well, let's start with the original series. Now, you have James Tiberius Kirk. Oh, hello, Sean Carter. I was about to go ahead. I didn't know if anybody was going to come in right away, but I'll put down the StreamYard if you want to come in and join the panel. Let me get that for you. Yeah, we just got started, my friend. We were just about to discuss strange new captains. Okay, there you go, sir. I just posted the StreamYard link for everyone to come in. Oh, thank you, but I need to work. I'm working. Okay. Well, Sean, do me a favor. If you're still lurking around here for a while, let people know that that StreamYard link is there. And if they'd like to join the panel, by all means, let them come in. We'll discuss. But I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being the first to be here today. I'm just going to check on my stream over here. Okay. Yeah, it should be running. Yeah, it should be going. So we should be okay. Live streaming. Okay, good. Oh, we'll do. Trusty Ape. Dude, come on in. Please come on in. The StreamYard link is right up there at the top. Near the top. It's just after Sean Carter just said hello to me. Hey, Mikey. Super busy, but I'll be listening. Okay, LDG. Thank you. Yes, Trusty Ape, you're cool. Hello to you as well. Yeah, please come in if you want. Let me know, and I'll just click you right in. Okay, so we're going to start first of all, then, with the original series. And our first captain, of course, James Tiberius Kirk. And of course, a lot of people will say, you know, earlier on there was a Captain Jonathan Archer, and even before that, there was Captain Pike. Okay, let me know. So, we're starting first, though, with James Tiberius Kirk. And like we said, the original series, if I recall correctly, ran for 3 seasons, about 79 episodes, I believe. And what can you say? Oh, hello, Daniel Hot Topics. Welcome, my friend. Come on in if you want. StreamYard link should be up there. So, anyway, we were going to talk here first about TOS. And, well, what can you say about Captain Kirk? When J.J. Abrams did the reboot and put Chris Pine in that position, well, the first words out of William Shatner at that point was, "Yeah, he's actually playing me." So I think he does a good job, and that came from the man himself. So what does that say? It says a lot to me. But as far as the series, the original series, there were some great episodes. There was a few, you know, sort of. And then there were some that were just downright insane, like like people have been talking about Spock's brain. Well, yeah, that's one of those. And then, of course, the Flower Children episode. That's what I call it with the hippies. Yeah, cool stuff. That had David Soul in it, they said, from Starsky and Hutch fame later on. Yeah, so so anyway, uh, then you know there was some interesting creatures. You know, they met. Well, they first the first time they run into the Romulans. They already knew about the Klingons, being the warriors of the galaxy at that time. They ran into the Squire of Gothos, who probably was a pre Q at that time. They ran into Apollo, the god Apollo, supposedly. You know, there was some interesting characters in that film or in that series. We all got used to Commander Sulu at the helm, also Commander Chekhov, who claimed that everything was produced in Russia or born in Russia. Quotes, food, drink, everything. Then, of course, he had Mr. Spock, the wonderful science officer from the planet Vulcan, who actually was flying along with Pike before he ran into Kirk. So this was like I believe, his second captain at the time. Then, of course, you had Miss Uhura, played by the wonderful Nichelle Nichols, who I think just recently passed away. Rest in peace, Nichelle. Um, and here we go.
Hey, hey.
Come on in, Trusty Ape. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm just waiting to catch my train.
Oh, okay. So do you know how long you'll be in, or
Oh, yeah, probably just a few minutes here. I've still got to do some stuff to get ready, but I wanted to come and say hi and hang out for a bit.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've got
Great,
like
thanks, man.
yeah.
Yeah. So we were just today was just a kind of a random stream I wanted to put out there and talk about each of the captains and kind of briefly illuminate on some of the series. I have to admit, I've only seen like 6 of the 12 different series that are part of the Star Trek franchise. So, you know, if you've seen any of the later ones, like Prodigy or Lower Decks or anything, let me know your opinions on that as far as the series or the captains
Yeah,
mainly go.
yeah. I haven't really seen too much of the newer stuff. I watched a lot of Next Gen and Voyager back in the day, but I'm not too up on the lore. So
That's all right, man. As I said, I had seen the original and animated series, and then TNG, Voyager, DS9, and then Enterprise. And I told people, well, after Enterprise went off the air in 2005, that was it for me. I didn't want to see anything else. I guess I should have opened myself up to a couple of those later series, but nah, I just considered myself a Star Trek purist and just went with the first six, and that was pretty much what I liked.
gotcha.
Yeah. So as we were talking about when he came in, the original series with James T. Kirk and, like I said, played by William Shatner, a great Canadian actor, and he's still around. He's in his 90s right now. Um, the last main character I want to talk about, of course, too, was Scotty, uh, played by the late great James Doohan, who then later on his son Christopher went on and did Star Trek Continues, which is still out there on YouTube. It's a nice little homage to the original series. James Conway, I think, was the first one, and then uh, what was his name? Vic, oh yeah, Vic Montola or something like that. But anyway, he's out there. So, anyway, so so we did those 79 episodes from TOS. Captain Kirk being the ultimate captain at that time. It always seemed like Starfleet would send the Enterprise 1701, NCC 1701, to all sorts of parts of the galaxy as like the flagship. I think they even said that in an episode that he was the flagship of the Federation and was representing, uh, you know, the United Federation of Planets. So that was, I guess, that was kind of his thing. But but with Captain Kirk, it was. I think for me, it was more like shoot first and ask questions later. Would you agree, Trusty? Is that a probably accurate description?
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get. Kirk was a bit of a hothead, and then you kind of have other characters around him who were kind of bringing him back, which is interesting. But I think it um, wasn't that like the first ship of its kind? Like, as far as wasn't that kind of why he ended up going
It
out
was.
and
Yeah, it was the first. It was the first of its kind, as far as I believe somebody said, Galaxy class starship. At the time I didn't really pay too much attention. I was really interested in the ship as a whole because I thought it was pretty cool.
right?
But as I learned later in Enterprise series, which had Bakula and as Jonathan Archer, uh, apparently their ship was like the first of its kind. Just after the Vulcans had made first contact with Zefram Cochrane in that movie, First Contact with played by James Cromwell. So I guess after that, eventually Vulcans helped out the Earth with their different type of starships, and then they christened that new one that Archer flew the NX-01 series. So
Okay,
yeah, so basically it went from what I understand, NX-01 and then Enterprise, and then you had the Constellation class along with the Galaxy class. As I said, a lot of it was just kind of confusing, and I was just going to say, um, I like to follow the story. I like to follow the ships, their destinations, everything. The animated series. Um, what's there to say about that? Really, I mean, I think it lasted what 2, 3, was it 2 seasons? I think it was just 2 seasons. But somebody could correct me that in the chat if you want, because I
Yeah, I
do
don't think I
remember.
ever saw the animated one myself. So
Yeah, well,
that's newer?
no, the animated series actually followed after the original series, and
Oh,
it was in the early '70s, and some of the, and it was just before they did Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I know that, and they, some, some of the original characters, some of the original stars and actresses, thought they were out of work, so they thought, well, maybe we can go ahead and do this animated series that Roddenberry came up with again. So a genius ahead of his time. So they went ahead and did that for 2 seasons and offered their voices as, voiceovers for the characters, and there were some interesting episodes there as well. I think the one most of us talk about is Spock's growing up with his pet Ichaya, uh, which had teeth and everything, and uh, and there was a few others. I think the one that Harry, or sorry, Hardcore Fenton Mudd, played by Roger J. Carmel. What a great actor he was. Uh, yeah, he showed up again as Mudd later on in that. You can't. That's the one thing you can't get rid of is Harry Mudd. I mean, you had Mudd and his women in the original series. He goes to jail. Then he breaks out of jail. Then he goes to an android planet, which the episode's called I Mudd, and he tries to take it over. Well, then he tries to take over the Enterprise. That fails. The android planet gets shut down by both his ironic logic and Kirk's. And then, of course, uh, he does an episode in the original series. I wish I could remember the title of that episode. Somebody has that. They can let me know later in the comments or in the post. Post if you want. That would be helpful. But yeah, as far as I know, he did like 3 episodes. But that was so cool. But yeah, the animated series, couple seasons, and of course Kirk still being Kirk. You know, womanizer, shoot first, ask questions later, all that stuff. You saw a few more of the other characters, which might not have shown themselves up much in the original series, like Janice Rand, Nurse Chapel. There was Lieutenant Kyle, I believe he was even in there, and then there was like a alien which took over the uh, steering of the ship, I guess so you say, with Sulu and I forget his name, but he was like this huge. It was an alien. It was a huge alien that took over. They had a cat alien too that was in there from her planet, from her cat planet. She was part of the crew. So yeah, there was a few different characters and some that were a little more prominent in the original or in the animated series. And then we'll go ahead and move on to the next one I remember seeing. Uh, Pretty much after that, which was the Next Generation, and we got introduced to Sir Patrick Stewart. Hey, gorillas! Oh, okay, on rewatch. I'm sorry. If you had any time, please come on in. I'm not sure how long the stream will last. I'm glad that Trusty Ape is here with me, and Daniel's a hot top is there. Let's go through this real quick. First of all, we've got Hey Mikey, Sean Carter, thank you for coming. There's the StreamYard, my StreamYard link. If you guys do have time to jump in and join me and Trustee, that would be helpful. But if you can't, that's fine too. Oh, thank you, but I need to work. I'm working. I told Sean to pass this along. He said he will do. We also have Hello, Trusty Ape. Well, and hey, Mikey is super busy, but I'll be listening. Thanks, LDG. He'll probably be listening from the underground, so thank you, sir. Hello. And yes, you can come in. Cool. And hi, Mike from Daniel's Hot Topics. Gorilla says, "Hey, Mickey, I'll catch us on rewatch. That's cool." And he says, "Damn it, Mickey, you couldn't do this when I could join." You know what? I can still do another live stream today, my friend. let me know what time in the private chat, and I can do another stream, and you and I can just do, along with Trusty when he comes in, we can just do random stuff, okay? We can talk about anything. Today we're
Yeah, it could
just
be
doing
fun.
Starship New Captains. I love Gorillas. He's so much fun. Anyway, so after the animated series, of course, TNG, the Next Generation, and we got to meet Sir Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard. I don't know how I was able to pronounce that correctly because I am French. Oh, and Gorillas just laughed at me. um, yes, but we got introduced to a number of cool characters there. We got to meet William T. Riker, sorry, uh, played by the wonderful Jonathan Frakes. We got Data, played by Brent Spiner, who is an android trying to become a human. We were introduced to Denise Crosby, who played Tasha Yar. She was the head of security for at least the first season. Then, of course, later Worf, played by Michael Dorn, great actor, Shakespearean actor too as well. Yeah, he took over after the second season. And then we had Beverly Crusher, played by Gates McFadden, wonderful woman. We had her son. You know, I've seen his stuff lately, and all he's doing, uh, Will Crusher, played by um, you know uh, Will Wheaton. But I've seen like some of his stuff, and it seems like he's condescending and just uh, I guess I'm allowed to say that, but just he's just not. I mean, I used to like his stuff. Don't get me wrong. He does a Star Trek Ready Room, and he goes behind the scenes of all the other series. Trusty, I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, you're not missing much. Oh, you might want to check a few episodes out. It's called the Star Trek Ready Room. They may have it on YouTube by now. Most of the other ones he did, but it was just on the previous series, the ones I said I haven't seen, like Discovery, Prodigy, and Lower Decks, and so on. So yeah, if you want to check him out, check out his stuff. Will Wheaton, but and then of course we had Geordie LaForge, the great engineer, and of course played by uh, oh God, I just forgot
LeVar
his name.
Burton.
LeVar Burton. Thank you. See, that's why you're here, Trusty. You're helping me out because I can forget some of these people. Yeah, LeVar Burton, who used to do Reading Rainbow on the PBS series. That was cool. I actually liked Reading Rainbow. As a kid growing up, I learned a lot from him hosting those shows. So yeah, if you haven't seen Reading Rainbow, kids, check it out. It's definitely a great series on PBS and very educational. And then, of course, he did the movie Roots, which is, I think he was underrated in that movie miniseries. He did a great job in that. So, and then, of course, the other engineer was Miles O'Brien. So, uh, he had him and Geordie until Miles went to DS9 later on. And Trusty, do you remember who played Miles? I forgot the actor's name. Do you remember who played him, Miles O'Brien?
It's right on the tip of my tongue, and I know he's Irish. I remember that part. No, I cannot think of it. I'm getting stuck on it.
Yeah, I probably could. You know what? I use Google as my cheat sheet. I know. It's like I don't know most anything. I'm not the smartest person on the planet. At least I don't think so. But yeah,
Memory is
that
just
was
one of those things. You can only stockpile so much information, you know.
yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, Colm Meaney. Colm Meaney. Colm Meaney played him.
Okay, yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Great actor as well.
yes, he was. And we'll probably mention his future wife Keiko later on, because she actually was a part. I think she was more part of DS9, wasn't she? I don't remember her being much in TNG, but I do remember she was in DS9 a lot.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah, there
probably
was a
mention,
crossover there. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll probably mention her later. Okay, so I think we got all the major characters out of the way here in TNG. But of course, we're referring to Starship captains today. So strange new captains. So we are talking about Picard. Now, Picard was a bit different uh, from Kirk, obviously. I think their meeting in Generations probably wasn't an accident, but I'd like to think that Kirk had a bit more of a pull than Picard did. However, Picard was just very thoughtful. He was very firm, very strict. I know he treated Crusher, the kid, young Crusher, with disdain, because I guess that kid was so smart or acted like a smart butt. I don't want to say the A word. Yeah, somebody else could say it. I don't want to say it. But yeah, it just Picard was very. I guess he was very detailed, right? He had attention to detail. He thought he covered all the bases. Thought he did everything. He was pretty smart himself. He did rely on Riker a lot, but that's okay because Riker flat out told him, "Hey, look, you can't go down on planets because previous, problems that Kirk had, I guess." So they were just pulling from that. They said, "Look, I'll go down with the Ready team, and you guys stay up here and do your stuff." And, well, that's what was the beauty of Picard is that he ignored his first officer
I
most of
think
the
I've
time.
I've heard that said before that there was something intentional about that dynamic to making Picard kind of juxtaposed to the character of Kirk and showing a very different type of captain, right?
Yes,
Kind of by
yes, I
design.
yeah, kind of by design. You're right. And the fact that, well, I wasn't offended when I realized that Picard was bald. That didn't offend me at all. But I think that gave a lot of bald men, virile men out there, a lot more chance with women. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I haven't done the research or anything, but I think a bald-headed captain was quite different for the late '80s, like that, like it did when it came out in '87. So and it lasted for 7 seasons. And I believe that one of the most unique characters we got to meet, of course, was Q, played by the awesome John Delancey. Uh, and I had just mentioned Squire of Gothas, which was Trelane, who was in the original series. Most people would like to say he was the first Q, and I agree with that. I think he was, but just a younger version of a Q because his parents obviously took him away from playing games with the Enterprise and Kirk, and so of course they had to have a recurring character like Q to come in and cause havoc, and like I said, Delancey was perfect for that role. I forget how many people uh, tried out for his role in the series. There were two actors I remember offhand. One was Corbin Burnson, who then ended up being in a Q episode with him. One of the other ones was, let's see, Corbin, and then there was one more. I can't remember. There was like one more prominent actor that stood out at that time that tried out for the Q role. Do you remember, Trustee? I knew about Corbin, but I wasn't sure of the other ones.
No, no, I'm not sure about the other one. But Corbin Burnson is a great actor. Like, would have been a
Oh
great
yeah,
choice. But um,
yeah.
I was thinking, do you recall an episode where Q gets stuck on the Enterprise and he loses his powers, or he thinks he loses
Yes,
his powers? And yeah, that's one of my favorites.
that's absolutely one of my favorites. The other one I like too is his son, Q2, the young Q. And he says, but the most famous line in that episode says, "Don't piss off the Borg." That's what the Q said to his son. Don't piss off the Borg.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, that was a great episode too. And then of course he met his wife, on Voyager. That was later too. I was thought that was a cool episode as well. I think every episode that Q did was absolutely wonderful. It was well written, and also about TNG. There was that episode where at the end of it, I think we're talking about the same one that you just mentioned. At the end of it, he thanked Data for his humanity and gave him something he never had before, his emotion, and he started laughing outrageously
Right. Yep.
up at the bridge. and, and it was Q's gift to him, and it still makes me laugh. It really does. I just see Brent Spiner just lose it, and I was like, oh man, oh what a great ending to that episode, and him playing the mariachis and the band and mariachi band and everything. Yeah, imagine putting that on a starship. That was fun. Mariachi band. so so Picard, as we remember at Encounter in Farpoint, he was told by Q, "Hey, we'll be watching, and we just want to see, you know, if you can just, get away with it, and make us impressed. Do something that's so impressive." And of course, you had to wait till the very end of season 7 when he figured out the paradox of the 3 different timelines, and that was the all of these voyages. I believe that was the end of that, something like that. And then, of course, the one big introduction that Q shouldn't have done, but he did. He introduced the Enterprise to the Borg. And of course, Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2, still the best 2 episodes in the series regarding the Borg. Always great. And the point where you see at the end of Part 1 where Riker says fire, he's ready to fire on his captain. He's ready to destroy the ship that he's on board, the cube or whatever it was he was on. So, yeah, that was a cliffhanger, and we had to wait a whole summer until they put that one back in, the second episode. And I was like, oh, man. That was one of the times I was absolutely pissed with Star Trek because it left you in a cliffhanger and you're like, okay. So what's he gonna do now? He just said to fire on him, and now because it became Locutus. Oh man, but it was
That is an amazing way to capture somebody's attention, though. They're going to be back next season just to figure out, at least that whether they stick around.
Well, I thought, like I said, when he said fire, I thought for sure I knew that he was firing on him, and I knew that. But also, I was like, okay, how effective is the firing going to be? Because basically, Geordi LaForge threw everything into the phaser, phaser fire he was going to throw in, including the kitchen sink. He threw everything into this thing, and he was ready to shoot at him, and that's what Riker ordered him to do. And I was like, okay, we just had to wait too long. Well, obviously we knew the shot didn't work, so we eventually found that out. Spoilers, in case you guys haven't seen the episode yet. So yeah, but that was fun. I'm glad you and I agree on that one. That was well, it was worth the wait. And I mean, they got him out of there and saved his life and whatever. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I didn't get to see those live, so I had the privilege of being in the rerun era. But yeah.
Oh yeah, the reruns. I know some people were asking me about that with the original series, and I said, well, they went into something called syndication, and then they were reruns, and that's when I started watching the original series first, because they were in reruns later on. And everybody said, well, oh come on, you didn't watch it when it started? No, my wife was born in 1966, for Christ's sake, which I'm so glad of. But that's when the series started, and I was only less than a year old, so unless my mother and father decided to plop me down in front of the boob tube, which they called it even that back then, for a television, and let me watch it, I wasn't keen at yet, old enough to understand until I was about 6 or 7 years old, and then by then they had the whole original thing on syndication and reruns. So you and I are definitely, we were rerun kids. We got to watch them in reruns.
Yeah, that's what I love. There'd be like TBS or TNT, then they would just marathon them during the days sometimes, and you'd be able to get a lot of it in that way. But
Right. Yeah. So okay. So we're gonna finish up here with TNG because I could go on all day probably about that. The next one that had basically a crossover to that was DS9, and of course the reason because Picard, as Locutus, was headed to Earth, and that was Wolf 359 that they had the battle, and it just so happened that the who would eventually become the emissary and then the ambassador for DS9 was Captain Benjamin Sisko, played by the great, awesome Avery Brooks. He was on board. Apparently, they said he was on board the USS Saratoga as second in command, and he escaped uh, getting killed and in the battle. And of course, uh, because he only got brief view of Picard as Locutus, I don't think he forgave him for that, which was obvious in the Emissary, the first episode they had for DS9, when Picard shows up and meets him and everything. So there must have been an underlying grudge there somehow. I don't know how Sisko got through it. I think he eventually forgave him when they started later on when they had the Dominion War and the Bream and the Founders and yeah. So when they had all of those guys fighting them later on, the Dominion War, and the Cardassians. So yeah, that's when I think you forgave him because Picard offered his ship and other ships to help in the battle. So, but anyway, so on DS9 we had the gal who fought the Cardassians initially to get the space station. It was theirs, DS9, Deep Space Nine, but the Bajorans, along with the help of the Federation, were able to get it back. So she decided to stay on board as a Bajoran representative. Kira Nerys, played by the wonderful Nana Visitor, great actress. And then, of course, we had we had Dax, Jadzia Dax, Terry Farrell, great actress. So she came on board, and she had several. She was known as a trill, and had several hosts that were passed on from generation to generation. So when Jadzia became Jadzia, it was Mr. Dax that came. Daniel's Hot Topics. Hello and welcome to the stream.
Hi, how are you?
hello.
Trusty Ape is here. We were just about to talk about Strange New Captains and involving DS9 and Benjamin Sisko.
Mm-hmm.
So
That was my favorite. That was my favorite Star Trek. That was the Star Trek that got me into Star Trek.
That's great. Yeah, the original series got me into it. Which one was for you, Trusty? Was it TNG that got you into it?
Yeah, I mean, I was into TNG, but no, I think DS9 captured me. I think Jerry Ryan, was she on there, 7 of 9. I had a huge crush on her as a kid, so
That's nice to know. Yeah, she did a few crime dramas too, if I recall, before she became
Yeah.
7 of 9 on Voyager. Yeah. So, yeah. So Daniel, tell me about your favorite moments with Benjamin Sisko on DS9.
Well,
What do you recall?
I thought he was a really good cat. I thought he was way better than Captain Picard because Captain Picard, like the first Star Trek I ever saw was TNG. I was forced to watch it with my brother.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't like it because, like, I came from Like he dragged me from one TV to another. I was watching all the cool action shows of the '90s, the anime and the live action shows, and he dragged me to watch TNG with him, and it was so different from the other shows. I mean, TNG wasn't an action show; it was more of a thought-provoking sci-fi, and they weren't like hunting down the bad guys. They were, talking to them, and that was kind of like lame for a kid, right? So,
Right.
I
And, and
yeah,
yeah, and
I was,
I was gonna mention about uh we were Trusty and we were talking about Q, of course, John Delancey, and him appearing on DS9, and then Cisco punching him out.
yeah, that was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
Picard never did that.
Yeah, yeah. Picard never hurt me. Picard never hit me. That still makes me laugh. I'm glad you were able to help bring that memory. Thank you. Yeah, so go ahead, continue, and let me know what you thought about Cisco. What was some of the other things that you thought were unique?
Yeah, he was he was. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Let's see. He was a good father. I
Yes.
like him. He was a family man.
Yes. Do you remember the name of Jake? What was Jake's the actor's name?
Citric Lofton.
Cyril Lofton, right? Okay.
Cirroc Lofton.
Cirroc Lofton. Yeah. I don't know if he did other stuff. Did Cirroc do anything after this? I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. He might have done some other things, but I don't know. I think after he was Jake, he didn't want to be typecast, obviously. I know he was in some movies, but can't get it. Well, anyway, I know. He did a great Jake, though. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt that part.
Yeah, and I loved Cisco's interaction with Gul Dukat. I like that. That was like his enemy, his nemesis, his opposite.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's something that Picard never really had. I mean, yeah, you could say the Borg was his, but they never really showed up. I mean, how many times did the Borg show up in TNG? Like once in season 2, once in season 3, and maybe 2 more times. So like maybe 4 times in the entire series.
Yeah, and let's see. I want to mention who. Okay. I know I've seen. Oh, stop. Yeah, Mark Alimo. That's who it was. I was trying to remember the name.
Yeah,
I was trying to remember the name. Mark Alimo. Yes. He's done some action movies. He was in one, I believe, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, he was?
Yes, he was.
Wow.
But I forget which one it was, though. That's the problem. I got like all these useless facts in my head. I call it my warehouse. So for some people who don't know and they're listening, now you know. Where I come up with useless facts. But yeah, he was in a movie with Arnold. It was an action film, and he actually played one of the henchmen in that film. That I don't think was Commando, but that seems to be like the one standing out. I don't think it was that. I know there was something else he did, but yeah. But he's been in several sci-fi shows, if I recall, not just DS9, but out of uniform, of course. Not made up as a Cardassian. So, yeah. Let's see. We are forgetting some people. There is Odo, of course, the shapeshifter from the Founders, Homeworld.
I love Odo.
Yeah, and of course that was Rene Auberjonois.
Yeah, great actor. I remember seeing him in I think it was on the Mary Tyler Moore show.
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
That is so cool. Yeah. He was like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or something.
Yes, and he had his glasses. Yes, Rene Auberjonois. Yes, I remember
Yeah.
that. And of course he did other series too. I think he did.
The first thing I saw him in was in the '90s. Well, I didn't watch DS9 in the '90s. I knew of it, but I couldn't
Right.
watch it. And
Right.
I got into DS9 in the early 2000s when I got satellite.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I watched Renee in DS9, and then later on, like years later, when I saw him in like Mary Tyler Moore Show, which was like in the '70s, I was like, "Whoa, that is so cool!" You know, I didn't know he was around like back then. It
Yeah,
is so
he's
cool.
well, that was like the other guy. I was just about to mention Quark, played by cool, awesome Armin Shimmerman. I think he was one of my favorite characters on the series for sure. On DS9 was Quark that ran the bar. Uh, my favorite memory, of course, was I went to a Las Vegas Comic Con, and over there at the Las Vegas Hilton, they had a mock setup of the entire Quark's bar. I remember having a beer there. It was so much fun. I didn't get to meet the guy, the actor himself, but I got to see the bar, and they had a wonderful setup for that. So that's one of my favorite memories visiting Vegas was seeing that. Yeah, it was so cool. And I went with a friend, so it's even better. It was just, two geeks just hanging out at Quartz Bar having a drink.
It sounds nice.
It was nice. And that was in I believe that was in the late 90s. Yeah, it was during the 1990s. So we got to see it when the series was just starting to take off. And I think it was just after season 3, and we went up there and, yeah, hung out at the bar. Great representation. And let's see. Now we're thinking. Okay, so after Quark, let's see. Miles O'Brien, of course, who transferred, came over to uh, DS9 from the Enterprise. Then, of course, Worf came over. Hello, Worf.
Yeah, that's really good continuity connection between TNG and DS9. I love that.
Yeah, that was absolutely cool. What'd you think, Trustee? Was that probably a great transition? I thought it was. Both of us did.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you could have planned it better than that, So, yeah.
Yeah, and they had what was cool was because Picard had mentioned to Cisco earlier that he might be sending personnel. I'm putting that in quotes uh, earlier in the series. So um, I guess that's why Cisco was aware that somebody was going to come, and then eventually it was Worf. Probably the best. Yeah, for me, I thought that was probably definitely a great transition. Miles, of course, because they needed an engineer, but and they kept Geordi back at the ship. But yeah, I like the fact that it was Worf that came over. So, and it gave it that Klingon element, right? Because they couldn't go out in space necessarily until they built the Defiant to go out there. But what was so great is that Worf could you know man be the head of security along with Odo to run the space station, and then he could go out there. He could command the Defiant if he wanted to. Of course, Cisco was captain, so he wanted to do that. But sometimes he could have Worf do it. He'd take over. You know, so I mean, yeah, that was great. Just and of course, I think a lot of us were so intrigued by the uh, Dominion War later. And I thought that Cisco, okay, initially I think he was against it, and I don't know if he wanted to fight, but then he realized that there was just too much going on, and he also had to help Worf broker a peace agreement with the Klingons so that they could have an ally against the Breen and the Cardassians and the Dominion. And of course the Dominion bringing their troops and everything. So they needed a defense, and it was a good thing that Worf did broker agreement with the Klingons in that case, and Commander Martok. So, yeah, good stuff there. And you guys have any other memories about Cisco? And then we'll just go ahead and move on to the next one.
I like to see Cisco cooking with his dad in the restaurant. That was nice. That was really nice to see him. You know, he was a really good cook, and
yeah, it was under the knowledge that Avery Brooks himself, the character, was a good cook. So maybe that's where he was able to pass it on.
Yeah, it's really, and just so like, you know, now he's in the Celestial Temple because after he defeated Gul Dukat with like Cosmogen inside of him,
Yeah.
he defeated like yeah, but like I think they say that Gul Dukat is still alive. He's just in the fire caves.
Yes, the Pokleds with the Pokleds. Yeah.
I mean, he could come. I'm hoping he could come back in the future. He was a really good villain, right? I really do hope so. But I don't know if Mark Alamino would want to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it depends on how old Mark is, and I think he was happy. If I recall, listening to like after the series was over or behind the scenes of the series, I think he was happy that in that last episode. And I wanted to mention, I'm sorry, All Good Things was the last episode of TNG. This one was what was this one? What was the last episode named on this one? Where he was in the fire caves?
I think it was called What We Leave Behind.
What We Leave Behind. Thank you. Yes. I was trying to remember the title. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel, thank you. Yeah. So, and then of course, there was one other actress we forgot to mention. That was the one that Gul Dukat stole the book from to incense and bring the fire caves to life. I forgot the actress name, but she was in a lot of movies. Do you remember her name in the series?
Her name was Kai Wynn.
Kai Wynn. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Hold on. We were all learning stuff today. Let's see. Kai Wynn. Yeah, or actually, I guess she changed her name to Wynn Adami because she married Gul Dukat. Yeah,
did?
it said, yeah, she did. Technically, she did. Well, she associated with him anyway. She was the Bajoran spiritual leader Vedic, later Kai Wynn Adami, in 14 episodes of DS9. That was Louise Fletcher. She just recently passed away last year.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, one day after my birthday. I was born on September 22nd. She died September 23rd, 2022, at the age of 88. Louise Fletcher. Yeah, she was in that movie with Jack Nicholson, the Postman Always Rings Twice. And I also think she was in that one with the... yeah, it was that one with they were in an insane asylum. She plays Nurse Ratched in that one with Jack Nicholson. Yeah, and she did a lot of movies, Louise Fletcher. Yeah, I'm sorry to say, yeah, she passed away last year, so I feel bad because she was really good. She was funny, very dramatic actress, very charming, and she did a great Kai Wynn or Vedic, and then Kai Wynn, so Adami. Yeah, but she had the book, and Gul Dukat stole it, then killed her, and then of course Cisco takes him. And they jump into the fire, and yeah, like you said, they left it open that they could have brought him back, but I think he just decided it was better off that he died in that, and that because Cisco sacrificed his life, that he was able to become one of those light people.
One of the wormhole aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like like, did he die or was he just transformed into one of them? I think he was just transformed into one of them.
Yeah, he was transformed because he sacrificed his life to stop Gul Dukat. Gul Dukat would have revived all the apocalypse, all the fire and the people in the fire caves to take over Bajor and maybe the entire known universe. That's a Federation, to destroy the Federation one last time, because of course, in the Dominion War they lost, and so Gul Dukat had to think of some way to maybe revive these people so that they could come destroy them. And well, Cisco sacrificed his life for that. So yeah, that's how he was transformed into one of the white aliens.
Yeah, I hope he could come. I hope Avery Brooks would come back. I mean, there was hints that he may come back. I mean, Sirach Lofton did say they talk about this all the time. And Sirach said that Avery would come back if the script was right.
Yeah.
But like I talked to some people and they're saying, "Oh, he'll never come back because the actor is sick."
Yeah. Well, I agree with you though in some way. I do hope that in some way, shape, or form that Gul Dukat does make an emergence. If it's not Mark, I hope it's somebody comparable, right? You always want it to be somebody that's capable of playing it, just like Mark did, to some extent. But I guess we'll find out later on.
Like
Anyway.
in Picard season 3, everyone said, "What's behind the big red door?" Everybody thought, including me, everybody thought that it was the fire caves and the Pah-wraiths were behind there. And
Pah-wraiths, yeah.
Yeah. If they would open the door, the Pah-wraiths would just flood out into the universe and just go to Kronos and other planets, and just possess key people on those planets. That would have been really interesting, but they didn't go that way. They went with the Borg.
Yeah.
How many times? I mean, that's kind of boring. I mean, the Borg have been with us since what, 1988 with season 2 of TNG.
Yes, but remember but don't forget they when they did Star Trek First Contact, there was that explosion over Earth, and then there was, of course, a couple of the Borg they wanted to show in Enterprise also. So they're in Enterprise as well. They were in every episode that I recall, or not every episode, I'm sorry. But of the 6 series I watched, they were in 5 series. They all appeared at some point or other at being the Borg, except for the animated series, because nobody even heard of a Borg back then, I guess. Or nobody was creative enough to come up with that animated. But that would have been cool. I would have loved to see a Borg animated. That would have been nice. But of course I didn't.
Actually, I think they do have that on Prodigy.
Oh, Prodigy? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry to say I haven't seen Prodigy. I did give a disclaimer where I saw the first 6 series of. There are a total of 12 series, by the way, officially, that are Star Trek offshoots of the original series, and including them. And like I said, I never got to see Discovery. I never watched Prodigy. I didn't watch Lower Decks. There was something called Short Treks, which is also in there. Then they also had Picard, and then of course, what was the other one? Oh yeah, Strange New Worlds, the new thing they put out, and then of course the non-canon but similar to Trek, which is Orville, with Seth MacFarlane as the captain there. So yeah, so I apologize. I just never seen some of the other newer series, but I will mention them just so we can put it out there. And if somebody knows a captain about that from that, because I only remember Birnbaum. I think it was from Discovery, and that's the only one I really recall. So, but other than that, yeah. To whoever comes up with those captains, they can tell me about them as well. That'd be interesting because I would love to know some facts about their how they were and everything in the series. Because we already know about Picard. We know what he's like. So you probably don't even have to go to Star Trek Picard because you already know what he's like. But you can go with Pike in Strange New Worlds, and then of course, uh, Birnbaum, like I said in Discovery. I'm not sure the name of the captain in Prodigy or Short Treks, uh, but yeah, but yeah, like I said, the other ones. Um, anyway, so just quickly, we'll go on here to the next one. Uh, so far, let's recap. We have covered the original series. We talked about Captain Kirk there. We talked about Kirk later on doing a voiceover for the animated series, and nothing really changed about him at that point. Then we went to TNG. We uh, discussed Picard, and we will in his Picard series coming up here pretty soon. Then we also had uh, DS9 with Benjamin Sisko. And then, of course, we'll get right now to Enterprise, which featured Scott Bakula as Captain Jonathan Archer, who had the ship that I was talking with Trustee before, the NX-01, before they had the Galaxy Class one or Constellation Class, whichever it was, the NCC 1701 that came later. And then, of course, we also remember that TNG had Enterprise D, and then later in the movies, the Enterprise E. And then in DS9, it was really the space station, and then, of course, the Defiant, USS Defiant, which the ship was involved in that one, in the Dominion War mostly, and some other Gamma Quadrant or treks into the wormhole. So here in Enterprise, we had a similar cast to what the original series would have offered. Eventually, we did have T'Pol, and she was the Vulcan science officer that was assigned by the Vulcan Academy to become the first to serve on board with Archer. We had Malcolm Reed, who became the weapons expert. We had Trip, who would become the engineer. We also had Hoshi Sato. And this is funny. That's the only Grace Park, and that's the only actress I can recall playing her. And that's the first one I can remember offhand, other than Scott Bakula.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I never. Well. Let's see. Do you remember the actress T'Pol? Because I really would like to remember that one. I was trying to remember that played T'Pol.
Jolene Bullock, I think her name is.
Blaylock.
Blaylock.
Oh yeah, Jolene Blaylock. Right. Thank you. Yeah. So Jolene Blaylock. Then of course we had their alien doctor, Dr. Phlox. And he had all sorts of stuff in his medical room, medical bay, sick bay. I have to say that McCoy, the great DeForest Kelly, rest in peace. Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy had a pretty impressive sick bay for the original series. But when you look at Enterprise and you look at Dr. Phlox's sick bay, his sick bay, and it's like in pristine white. I was saying, like, what's up with that? It's supposed to be a form of antiseptic color. Was it on purpose? I don't know. Do you remember that?
I think they say white is like more soothing. I guess.
Maybe it's easier on the eyes. Maybe. Weird. Let's see if I can remember how he spelled that last name. Yeah, John Billingsley.
Okay. Yeah, John Billingsley. He's a great actor.
John Billingsley, yeah, great actor. Yeah, under all that makeup, it took him like 3-4 hours, I think, to put on the makeup. But yeah, he was impressive. I really enjoyed that he was that knowledgeable. It wasn't like later on with Voyager that you had to use the EMH, the emergency medical hologram. But of course, Robert Picardo, who played that, played a great one. So, in Voyager. But also the fact that he was knowledgeable about all the known diseases at that time. But of course, he was starting to become more knowledgeable as they were going out into space and doing their 5-year mission, their first 5-year mission. So, I was very impressed the job he did. Let's see. Now, some
You know,
of
a lot of people complained
yeah,
that Enterprise looked way more advanced than the original series Enterprise.
I agree with you. But you know what I didn't understand was the fact that well, no, I mean later when they explained, when someone explained it to me, that it came before Star Trek, before the original. I said, well, yeah, that makes sense. But and then of course the one they're doing now, Strange New Worlds with Captain Pike, Anson Mount, who plays him, uh, is supposed to be the filler. It's supposed to fill right between Enterprise and the Star Trek series.
Yeah, but like there's like a problem. Like, how do you connect Discovery and Strange New Worlds with TOS, because they look visually different. They look more advanced, and they're supposed to be in the past.
Yeah, good question, Daniel. I'm not sure. Trustee Ape, you got a insight on that?
No, sorry, I was just popping in to say sorry. I have to go. I got distracted for a minute, but I appreciate you having me over, Mikey. And nice chatting with you guys, and nice meeting you, Daniel.
Yeah, same here. Take care, buddy.
Take care,
All right.
Trustee.
I'll be in the side chat though.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right. See you later.
See you, man. Oh, cool. I'm glad you showed, and I'm glad you did too, buddy. Thank you so much for coming. So anyway, so we'll get back here real quick. So yeah, I don't, like I said, I guess that's one reason I really didn't get into Discovery or even Strange New Worlds. Well, for obvious reasons, we don't like to watch much, or in fact, we really just prefer watching DVDs and Blu-rays at home of movies we know. We haven't seen a lot of sci-fi movies as well, and horror movies, because we're both sci-fi and horror purists. We love our old stuff. My wife and I, Suzanne and I. So, but like I said, I think after Enterprise, I don't know that I believed they were going to have, when I was still watching stuff, I don't believe they were going to have something comparable. And then, of course, when Discovery came out, I said, now, wait a second. Is this supposed to cover some ground before original series? And I said, well, I don't know. Should I watch it? I think maybe when I was by myself when it came out, I thought I saw maybe 1, maybe 2 episodes, but then it turned me off because I didn't see the connection, right? I mean, it was just, I didn't understand it. And I don't think we'll get to see Strange New Worlds, so that's why sometimes I'm curious if somebody has an impression of what they've seen so far. I guess they've only done like 3 episodes, so it'd be curious to find out what their impressions are of that. So I mean, what was your so Daniel? What was your next impression about why there's no connection, or why it doesn't seem like there is?
Well, the whole technology is more advanced thing, and I get it. TOS was made in the 60s, but I mean, they could do something like they could probably make an explanation or something, say that they had to lower the technology for some reason. I mean, I had some ideas, like, involving people from the future going back in time and causing, Starfleet to, kind of lower their tech. They could do anything, with sci-fi.
Yeah.
And but I don't know if they're gonna do. I mean, I remember in Discovery season 2, for example, they said, "Oh, they said they were aware of the problems with the technology and the visuals and everything, and they were going to explain it by the end of the season," and they never did. It's just like,
yeah,
oh,
that's yeah, that's the impression I got, was that nothing was really explained, and I wasn't. I didn't recognize who played Command or Captain Birnbaum, but I did recognize one of the people, actresses in the series. Was Michelle Yeoh in that?
yeah, Michelle Yeoh.
I think
She was Wei Lin in Tomorrow Never Dies.
she was. I hope we didn't lose him. Ah,
No,
I
I'm
got two
here.
people viewing. Oh, okay. No, so was Michelle Yeoh in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Discovery series? Okay.
yeah.
What
She
was her
was
role
the
in that?
Empress.
Yeah, what was her role in that?
She was the Empress of the Terran Empire.
Oh, wow. So she
She
was like
was
the boss.
Georgiou.
Giorgio. Okay. Yeah, she was the boss. I recall seeing her a couple. Yeah, so that might have been the episodes that I was like, watching, and then I saw Michelle Yeoh. I was like, oh my gosh, the martial arts girl.
Yeah, I really like Philippa Georgiou. She's really awesome, and I can't wait to see her in like section. She's gonna be in a spin off like Section 31,
Yes, I heard about that too. That would be cool.
but
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
it's not gonna be a series anymore. It's gonna be a movie. And I'm just like, really? I wanted a series, not a movie. But because she got superstardom with Everything Everywhere All at Once, and
Yes,
she won awards, now she's like highly sought out, and she doesn't have time
right.
for a TV series.
I
So
actually, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, continue.
I
Sorry.
don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of happy we're gonna get a movie, but just kind of disappointed too because I wanted more.
Yeah, and to your point, I was going to say that Michelle Yeoh, who, by the way, when I did my first live stream uh, on the James Bond franchise, played Commander Lin on the Tomorrow Never Dies movie that had Pierce Brosnan in it. She did her own stunts in that, in the fight scene, the choreography, and everything, which was so cool. But I don't see Michelle Yeoh doing much more of that martial arts stuff she used to do, and I think it was because of an interview she had where she said, "I don't want to be typecast." I don't know if I'm quoting verbatim, but she said, "I don't want to be typecast as a martial artist per se, even though I do love going back to Korea or Hong Kong and doing those types of films." Like she said, if Jackie Chan or Jet Li or any of those guys asked me to do it, I would do it. I'd be there and I would be doing it with them because she loves that, choreography and like ballet type moves. When they do martial arts fights and so forth. So she really loves that. So I don't mind a movie, yeah. But if it went to a series, well, I mean, what would we do if it went to a series, my friend? Would we watch it or would we see it or what? You know, because I
Yeah,
think
I
yeah,
definitely watch it.
yeah, if it became a series from the
Yeah.
movie, yeah.
Oh, did you hear? Okay, I got Berta Prey gave me an article that read Alexander Siding, Julian Bashir will be in the Section 31 series.
Yeah, and that was Alexander Siddig, who uh, played on DS9, right? He was Bashir.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julian Bashir. Yeah.
I mean, I think it
Yeah.
would be
See,
so
I'm
great.
starting to remember.
Like, yeah. So
uh,
like, oh,
yeah.
have you seen season 3 of Discovery?
Me, no. No.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Well, anyways, will you watch it?
Would I? Um, well, if, okay. If YouTube wasn't being so petty and restrictive on certain episodes of other series that I might have missed, hint, hint, I'm putting it out there to the YouTube universe and StreamYard. Uh, yeah, I might check it out. I just, what it is right now is, like I said, there are 6 series I really never got into. Discovered maybe the first a season, maybe the first couple of episodes, and then that was about it. But if but steadily, YouTube has been putting out here and there just a few minutes of an episode, say from Prodigy or from Picard, or the other ones, Lower Decks and so forth. So yeah, if I catch those little snippets here and there, I can pretty much catch up on episodes or seasons. Yeah, I hope that I haven't seen any Discovery season 3 come out yet, so to my knowledge.
No, it's so cool. I have Discovery season 3 on DVD. I love that. It introduced a new century and a 32nd century. I loved it so much.
Yeah, now Enterprise did deal with Daniels, who came from the 30th
Oh
century.
yeah, did you hear? In season 5, had they did a season 5 of Enterprise, okay, it was going to start off with the Romulan War,
Yes.
and we would have found out that Future Guy was involved in the Romulan War. He was in contact with the Romulans on Romulus, and you see the way I think it would happen is maybe Enterprise was supposed to be destroyed in the Romulan Earth War, and maybe they do, or maybe Daniels makes it look like they do get destroyed, but he actually sends them to the future.
Wow.
That's what was supposed to happen. He was supposed to send them to the future.
But it didn't happen, did it?
No, it didn't. Sadly.
Oh, sadly.
I was so excited.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just want to
yeah.
quickly knock these out from Sean Carter. He says, I was fine with the way Enterprise was portrayed. They couldn't go back to 60s style sets in it, and FX, I agree. I felt they did well by limiting warp speed, no shields, untrustworthy transporters, etc. And of course, our introduction to Section 31, because Malcolm Reed was actually spying, being on board the Enterprise for Section 31. We found that out later. So
yeah,
that's how we became knowledgeable with Section 31 at that point. That was cool. Then the other one here, Sean says, I don't see the big appeal to Michelle Yeoh. She plays the same character in everything I've seen, stoic and angry. Yeah, but Sean, that's why I said she doesn't want to be typecast that way. And remember, she came up as a martial arts. Well, no, actually, she came up as a ballet dancer in Hong Kong, and then eventually she felt that she could do all the moves that her family, because she had a couple brothers, if I recall correctly, that she could do the moves and everything. So eventually, she was, became a martial arts expert for females. So. Yeah, I know. Stoic and angry because she didn't like to be typecast. And if I recall correctly, she didn't. I don't think she did any karate, did she? In Discovery, I don't think she did. Being the
No,
efforts
she
of
was pretty tough.
Empire.
I think she did do some martial arts in Discovery. She did a lot of it. I don't know if it was karate, but it was really good.
Oh, she did do. Okay, that's interesting because I missed that. I would have loved to see Michelle do that. She's very cool. So anyway, Star Trek Enterprise, of course, it lasted 4 seasons. The last
It would have been
episode.
so cool if Daniels sent the Enterprise. Like I remember when I watched Enterprise for the first time.
Right.
Okay, I just got off watching Voyager Endgame, and seeing the Voyager just one-shot Borg cubes, right, with that new technology.
Yes,
I loved it. I thought to myself, "This is awesome. This is the future, and I want to see more of this." And I was hoping that the new Enterprise show would be about a new Enterprise being built after Voyager. That's what I thought.
I thought so too.
But then they showed us like the 22nd century, and I'm just like, at that point, I was like, oh, kind of let down. I watched the first episode, but then I stopped. Just like a lot of other people, the first season of Enterprise had the ratings were like skyrocketing, but after the rating just plummeted.
Yes. It was very it was depressing for me. Um, with Enterprise, there's three things that stand out to me with Enterprise. Not just the fact that Scott Bakula did a great Jonathan Archer, because I remember him from Quantum Leap, obviously, which really is best known for was Quantum Leap, um, playing that one Sam Beckett, Dr. Sam Beckett, sorry. But anyway, and there was a homage to Quantum Leap. You remember there was an episode in Enterprise where they brought back Dean Stockwell, who played Al, his AI companion in Quantum Leap, for an episode.
Which episode was that? I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I think it was. That's the best part, buddy. If you and I can't remember, I can actually pull up information like that. Let's see. Let's see here. Which episode of Enterprise featured? You know, if I could learn how to spell, I would be amazed. Yeah, Bakula and Stockwell. We will find out. Yeah, that was in the season 1 episode Detained. Dean Stockwell, he played Colonel Grat. Colonel Grat, Grat, in season 1 episode Detained with Scott Bakula. So yeah, that was very cool. That both of them reunited outside of Quantum Leap for that one episode of Enterprise. Yeah, that was very cool. So, you know, seeing that, and then of course also the theme song. The theme song was originally written by Rod Stewart, Faith of the Heart, and then of course they brought that to Enterprise. I thought that was interesting, and I also thought it was cool. I just remember most of the other series having their own instrumental openings, but for a Star Trek series to have an actual person sing a song to introduce it was good. And then the last thing too, I was intrigued by was the race they fought against, the Xindi, which was supposedly sent by the future guy and was warned about by Daniels, and they were a different type of alien. They also brought back the Borg for that one episode where they found those two Borg that were encased in ice up there in the Arctic, and then of course they accidentally activated them, and you know the Enterprise had to destroy their ship, but before they did, the ones that were assimilated sent a distant message to the Borg complex, the homeworld. So that kind of bothered me because then I was thinking, okay, we know that Enterprise is in the past, and yet they've already tied together First Contact film and this episode that they were in, and so from that episode, let's see, I can find the name of yeah, that was season 2's episode called Regeneration, and it was a sequel to Star Trek First Contact and reconned Star Trek: The Next Generation history. Yeah, so Regeneration was able to unite the Borg with the First Contact movie, and then later on, oh, welcome back, Daniel.
What doesn't make any sense is how Archer wouldn't be able to defeat the Borg. He wouldn't be able to do that. I mean,
well, yeah, not with the phase weapons they.
I mean,
even Malcolm Reed came up with that, but yeah, right, I agree.
You remember in season 2 of TNG. I think it was like it was called Q Who or something.
Yes.
They couldn't even with the 24th century people couldn't defeat the Borg. They couldn't defeat the Borg, and now Archer defeated the Borg. And remember, these Borg came from First Contact.
That's right.
They had technology. They had technology like was far superior to the technology from Best of Both Worlds Borg. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
because they've adapted and assimilated so much since then.
Yeah. So why? See, that I didn't understand in that episode why they didn't advance further. They basically just wanted to steal his ship, right? They didn't. I would have thought if it was programmed in those two that crashed there in the ice, I would have thought they would have wanted to assimilate the entire Arctic station and then just move on from there. And I thought that's how they could have taken over the Earth from there. Don't you think?
Yeah.
But that was just weird. I mean, why just steal a ship? What's the point? What's the purpose? I mean, even the ship was, even Archer's ship could destroy it. It eventually did, but not before they got out their signal. And that's what bothered me. Like I said, also was the fact that they were able to get a deep space signal to the Borg home. You're assuming the Borg Queen would get it. The future Borg Queen or whoever the Borg Queen was at that time of that era, and the Borg would get a message. And then the thing is, in Q Who, like you said, the TNG, Picard didn't run into them until Borg were introduced by Q in the first place, because Q thought, you guys are arrogant, you don't know what true power is, and then he accidentally purposefully, I'm not going to say it was an accident, he purposefully took up to the Borg, and basically said, yeah, now go face him, Picard. Now let's see what you can do, I'm not sure why Q would have started that whole mess. I still, to this day, I still can't understand his intentions of why he even did it. And why did the Continuum even allow him to do that? I mean, I would assume that the Q Continuum knew that the Borg were dangerous, that they were, a power to be, that you didn't want to deal with, because they just had too much technology to beat everybody else. They could assimilate whole worlds, destroy whole worlds, destroy ships. They had everything, and a collective mind, a collective hive mind. It bothers me. It just bothers me that Q would have done that. But I guess on the other hand, most people didn't know what a Borg was or what they could do, and so they expanded on it. And I guess they got a really big their applause meter. I guess their fan meters went crazy when they see this new race that could definitely defeat the Federation. Whereas the Klingons and the Romulans, the Cardassians, and the Ferengi, and even the Bream couldn't do, is that they needed an all-powerful, species, and so they came up with the Borg. I mean, yeah, original idea, but not the way that I would have introduced them. Not my premise. But so, what do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, well, the general thing was he wanted to show Picard that he wasn't to get out of his arrogant state or whatever. The what do you call it? Complacent state.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it was like a lesson he had to learn or something, but yeah, it could have been So that's pretty much it, I think.
Well, I thought that Encounter at Farpoint. I knew at that point that Q was going to continue to mess with him. I knew it wasn't the end there, because he was just telling them we'll be watching at the end of it, part 2. I said, okay, I know Q is going to continue to interfere. he already received some positive responses from fans and stuff. They said, "Really? There's a continuum that exists out there, and is oversee. They're like overseers, and they like oversee everything." And I'm like, yeah, I guess so." So he knew he wasn't done, and he became again. Of course, we know he became prominent in Voyager. He was in Star Trek Picard, of course. He also was in DS9, of course, where Cisco punched him, and which is still a great scene anyway, great episode. And then, of course, uh, well, I was disappointed he didn't show up in Enterprise, but I guess that was meant to be. I guess that would have been overkill to an extent. But then, we don't forget that the original series again had Trelane, uh, played by the great William Campbell, who was the Squire of Gothas. And so we knew he was a Q. We knew he was a pre-Q before uh, John Delancey did his Q. So I guess that's how that worked out. I guess that worked out the right way. And then, of course, finish everything with, like I said, Star Trek Picard, to have Lancey in there. I've seen one or two episodes, just like I said, just segments. Not the whole episode, but like segments. And yeah, those were appealing when he was in those, for sure. And, well, let's see now. Of the other series, Daniel, which ones have you seen, like, mostly? Discovery,
Yeah,
short.
yeah. I've actually seen all of them, actually. Well, all of them except Prodigy, and I watch a little bit of Lower Decks, but that's kind of a little silly, so
Yeah.
I kind of stay away from them.
And did you see the series? They mentioned a series called Short Treks.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Oh, okay. So you've
I
seen that
liked
as
it.
well. Okay, cool. So, why don't we just go ahead and limit this a little bit, and we'll just go down to basically the captains and whoever else you remember in those series, because I'd love to hear it. So we'll start with Discovery, and like I said, I liked Michelle Eo that came out of that series, being the Empress of the Terran Empire. You called her, yeah.
Yep.
Philippa, right? So she was good. So who else do you remember from that series, Discovery?
There was like there was a character called Stamets. I think he was the engineer or something, and I really liked him.
Okay.
And
Oh,
I think it's Paul Stamets. I think his name is Paul Stamets.
Paul Stamets. Okay.
Really good
Yeah.
character.
Can I ask you quickly? Who played Birnbaum in that? The African American actress, I think it was, that played that. I forget. Was that who it was?
Who again?
Birnbaum, Captain Birnbaum.
Oh, Burnham. Oh, Burnham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the actress from Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to look that up? I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'll look her up real quick. And we do have a couple people watching us in the chat. I appreciate that. I took Trustee Eight's advice and decided to do a live stream just off the cuff, as it were. But the thing that was interesting to me was the fact that the captains, each one had its own. Let's see. How did you spell her name again? Oh, wait a second. I can find it. Yeah. Okay, Burnham. Yeah, Michael Burnham. Commander Michael Burnham. That was Sonequa Martin Green. Sonequa Martin Green. That was her. Yeah, she impressed me. Yeah, she did a good job. Yeah, she was one of those. Yeah, that definitely impressed me. And besides Michelle Yeoh, so Paul Stamets, you said the engineer, and then who else impressed you?
Saru, the guy who plays Saru. Oh yeah,
Saru?
yeah. I like the character of Saru. I forgot his name too. Darn it, I forgot his name.
Saru was played by Doug Jones.
Oh yeah, Doug
Commander
Jones. Yeah,
Saru. He did 63 episodes from 2017 until 2024. What they're saying. Yeah, Commander Saru. Yeah, he's a big, tall guy. He's that alien guy, right? Saru?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, I didn't know it was Doug Jones, but yeah, he's a big, tall guy. I didn't realize how tall he was.
Yeah.
Much taller than me and you, probably. For sure. Um, okay. Was there any other characters that stood out, or the captain herself, I guess?
Yeah, the captain, the original captain of the Discovery, the guy that was posing as our version of Lorca. You know, Captain Lorca. Well, he was from the Mirror Universe, but he was posing as our Lorca from our universe. Yeah, the actor. I like the Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs. Okay. Yeah, Jason Isaacs has been in some action films that I recall. Yeah, and then it was since we're opening people up here to Discovery, Anthony Rapp played Paul Stamets,
Yeah,
so he was also a very good actor. Did a few CSIs and things. He was in this, so very cool. So, was there just one episode that stood out to you in Discovery? One that you thought was like awesome?
no, I liked all of season 1. Season
Okay.
2 was interesting because season 2 was like Section 31 focused, and
Right.
I love season 2 because I like Section 31, but a lot of people there's a lot of negativity and against Section 31. Like the Star Trek, most of the Star Trek fans just don't like Section
And
31 at all.
yeah, and I think there's also a lot of negativity I found out about Discovery, about the series in general. Now, I don't know if that was the reason I didn't watch. I think for me it was just other reasons, and probably not hating it because I knew it was Star Trek, but didn't get a chance to really watch too many, like I said, scenes of it. But I have heard a lot of other people that just didn't like it, the series itself. Maybe that was because of the season 2 arc you said with Section 31.
Well, I think it was mostly also because the season one was like the Klingon war with Starfleet.
Yeah,
And the Trekkies just don't like that. They don't largely they didn't like it. I liked it. I've always wanted to see a Star Trek show open up with a huge conflict with an alien race, and
yeah,
we finally got it in Discovery, but people just didn't like it. They were complaining so much. The Trek fans were complaining so much
they
that
were.
they had to end it in one season.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, oh, come on. I mean, it could have lasted at least one more season. I mean, just like what? I mean, if you read the history books, the Klingon Earth War lasted years.
yeah, I agree. Um, okay, so let's see now. The next one you did say, excuse me. The next one you did say was short treks, and what was
Yeah.
that about? I don't remember that.
Well, there was a short treks that kind of like talked about what happened before the synths uh, attacked Mars, and killed everybody, and then there was one short treks that kind of had a little alien going through space and running into Kirk's ship, and we heard William Shatner's voice, and it was during the episode of Space Seed.
Yes.
and we heard Kirk's iconic, William Shatner's iconic voice, and it was yeah, they were trying to connect everything together a little bit,
Okay.
and I think that's all I remember, from Short
Yeah.
Treks.
So they were just like, were they mini series or just little uh mini movies or something?
Like little mini episodes. Yeah, and there was one that's really my favorite. It's like the Discovery. The Discovery ends up in the far future, and it's found by this guy, and he stays on the ship, and the ship has an AI on it, and they haven't explained where it takes place in the continuity yet. There's a
Oh.
lot of continuity errors from season 3 in that episode, because if that episode takes place in the future, well, it doesn't look anything like the Discovery on season 3.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, short treks. Are they available right now on YouTube? I would like to check out one or
uh,
two of those things.
yeah, you can check it out on YouTube, or if you have a streaming service, you can check it out there too.
Yeah, short treks. Interesting. Yeah, that's like I said. I wasn't quite familiar. Like I said, when I started the stream and I was looking up the different series, and it said short treks. I said, "What's that?" I had no idea. I was like, "Okay, so it exists." Um, all right. I guess the main question is, did you get to see Picard? Did you watch any of Picard?
I saw all 3 seasons,
Yeah.
and the first season was boring. It's like nothing happened in it. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
The second season was really interesting. I liked it. A lot of people didn't,
Yeah.
but
What
I
was
did.
Yeah, what was the reason why most people didn't like season
Well,
two?
because
I get a lot of negativity from that season.
yeah, they say it's confusing and stuff. I liked it because they went back to 2024, because I don't know, something happened. They all woke up in a different reality or something, and then they have to go back in time
Yeah.
and
But
fix it.
right now, season two did feature Delancey, right, as Q.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah, it had Delancey as Q, but then he was losing his powers, and he was dying, and he's like,
Wow.
yeah, he was dying, and they try. It's like Guinan tried to, like, they ran into a younger Guinan,
Yeah.
and then the Guinan said that she had a way to contact the Continuum because there was a Cold War between the Elorians and the Q, which a lot of people don't understand, because they're like, oh, if the Elorians can challenge the Q, then why were they destroyed by the Borg?
I know, right? That doesn't make sense. The Elorians. Yeah. No, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
How is it that the Borg were able to, you know, destroy them and assimilate them, and it made no sense. And I was like, because these guys, because Guinan is supposed to be a powerful being. In fact, Q acknowledged a number of times whenever you come across Guinan, he said, "Keep her away from me." Right? He did not like her. I mean, the Q and Guinan were like oil and fire. It would explode into a confrontation if the two of them ever were left together. I remember what that same episode you told me where Q lost his powers, right, on board the Enterprise, and I remember Guinan punching him and hitting him and stuff because he didn't have powers, and you know if she wanted to, she could have just killed him right there because he didn't have powers. So he could have just, she could have just eliminated him, but no, for some reason she kept him alive. I don't know. Not sure what the understanding of that was. But yeah, so you were gonna say about the Elarians and the Q and You were saying,
Oh yeah.
Daniel?
So yeah, and then like we find out that like Q was dying, and Guinan, the younger Guinan, was like when she tried to access or she tried to call the Q, she sensed emptiness and fear, and then she's like, "Oh, I sense it on you," and then she's like, "You're dying," and then we get this dramatic tune, and he's looking at Guinan in a creepy way, and
Yeah.
he's like, that's one of the things I don't like about your race, empathy. Is empathy, and it just like he's saying like these really cryptic things. Like it makes you think like something happened, and
Yeah.
like maybe like they wiped themselves out in a war. They wiped
Yeah.
themselves out in a war because they already did that once.
Yeah.
And Janeway was there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in Voyager when they had the civil war between the factions because one of the Q wanted to, become mortal and off himself, and I love that. I love that 2-part episode. That was really good. Yeah, yeah, the Q that wanted to kill himself, commit suicide, and they said that when he did, it was going to cause a war between their factions, and Delancey's Q happened to be the head of one faction, and another faction was going up against him. So a lot of it made sense when he lost his powers, because of Voyager brought it out. Janeway brought out the war that was brewing. It was bubbling underneath, but nobody was really aware of it. And then and then they brought it out. So thanks, Janeway.
Yeah. So like everyone's like speculating like what's happening in the continuum, what happened. Like I'm thinking there was a war and they all wiped themselves out. And our Q was probably wounded in the war and he was dying. He was losing his powers. And yeah, he's basically like the last son of Krypton, basically, in a manner of speaking. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's quite amazing. Uh, for that. And I knew there was one I forgot. I had forgotten Voyager real quick, but we can go over that real quick. Uh, I loved Kate Mulgrew as Catherine Janeway, of course. Uh, she's the only one to defeat the Borg that I was aware of. Uh, until Picard was able to figure out, being Locutus, that he could find a soft spot in the underbelly of the Borg cube that was going to take over Earth. So he destroyed that. And of course, Janeway uh, came up with great, quantum torpedoes and stuff. I thought that was awesome. Uh, the actor who played Chakotay did a great job as well. Tim Russ, of course, playing Tuvok. Uh, and I remember Tim Russ from an episode or a couple episodes of The Highwayman that he did back in 1987-88. It was filmed around Phoenix, Arizona. It was just a one-season series. There's only 9 episodes. But Daniel, they're available on YouTube, and I have the entire season downloaded. So you want to check it out, please do, because there's a very young version of me in like 3 episodes of the series. And in that, Tim Russ played DC Montana. He was like a mechanical expert. It was about time-traveling truck, and you could take a helicopter out of the truck and everything. So, yeah, that's where Tim Russ came from. I thought that was pretty cool. They also had Ensign Kim, and then, of course, Tom Paris. Uh, Wonderful people there. Then, of course, B'Elanna Torres, played by the wonderful Roxanne Dawson. She ended up directing a few episodes of future series Voyager, and then I think she did 1 or 2 of DS9, and then there was Enterprise. She did a couple, and of course Frakes, Jonathan Frakes, who was Riker for TNG, also directed. Uh, then of course you had like I said, the EMH, Emergency Medical Hologram, which was played by Robert Picardo. Very funny man. He's done a lot of comedies, movies over the years. I've always liked seeing him. And let's see. I think we did cover the basic people on the ship, unless there's somebody I forgot. But yeah, Voyager was fun to me. I'm glad they defeated the Borg. Uh, I did watch Endgame. That was awesome. The fact that she could play an older version of herself and the younger version of herself, and the two of them combined were able to stop the Borg and the Borg Queen. But the thing was, and I found this out, that's why Star Trek Picard brought up the Borg Queen in season 3, because even though Voyager destroyed the transit hub and like the whole, the thing where the Borg could travel, from space to space and whatever, they didn't destroy it completely. And I was surprised because then they said they brought back the Borg for season 3 of Picard, and I was like, wow, okay, so they didn't die. They brought them back. So yeah, interesting. So go ahead, sir. So after short treks, let's see. Right, then of course Picard. So your favorite was season 3 then?
Yep.
Yep, season 3. You know what? They are starting to put up small segments of the episodes from season 3 of Picard right now on YouTube. So I may check that out. I think I will, because I'd like to see how the Borg got invested, uh, you know, in leading a bunch of Federation ships to try to take over. Yeah, don't give me any spoilers, my friend. I'll try to check it out. But yeah, I heard it was really good. So I might. I definitely will check those out when I see if there's anything available on that. Let's see. Now, Lower Decks, animated, we know, and then some stars from other series have appeared on it, including Frakes, Prodigy, and then Strange New Worlds. Do you recall any of those three watching them, and of the captains, or who stood out for you?
Uh, I don't really care for Strange New Worlds. Anson Mount is an okay captain as Captain Pike, but
yeah,
nah. And the Kirk that they got, Paul Wesley, he's not Kirk at all.
I heard that.
It just really, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it's not the Kirk we're used to. I heard. I don't know if Shatner's given his review yet, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be very favorable. Not how he treated Chris Pine as Kirk in that alternate Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
What about the Lower Decks? Have you seen any of those animated episodes?
Yeah, I saw a couple of them. I'm kind of confused on the canonicity of the show. Some people say it is canon. Some people say it's not canon. It's just something for fun. I don't know.
Well, I recall just one episode. Like I said, I knew that Jonathan Frakes came back as Riker for one of those animated episodes. I'm not sure what the plot was, but I know he was in it because I actually saw and heard his voice because I actually caught part of one episode they showed on YouTube. And then another one was, Captain Janeway, Kate Mulgrew. She actually showed up on Lower Decks. I thought that was cool. I said, I'd like to know more about that episode and how she was involved with them. But so far, yeah, that's the only two I've really seen, and I don't know. It looks okay to me, animated and everything. I mean, come on, we didn't have anything remotely even animated, other than the original series that had the animated series, for only those few years, and most of us are too young to remember that, including me. So I hate it when they ask me questions about the animated series. And and of course Prodigy. What do you think of that, Daniel?
Yeah, I tried watching it, and I just couldn't get past the first episode. I barely got past the first episode.
Yeah, yeah, I got that impression myself too. Is I don't know, Prodigy just. You know what? It reminded me too much of one of the Star Wars uh, Rebels. I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was the Clone Wars, and then there was Rebels, and then there was another series, not the Mandalorian, but one other series that I think was animated, and it reminded me of Prodigy. But I think I'm probably right if I say those other two Star Wars animated shows series reminded me of that. So I guess wherever the wherever the creativity comes from, I guess it doesn't seem like there's much. I don't know if they come up with a lot of original ideas lately, or it's just a rehashing of previous series and trying to provoke a spark. I guess it is, so to speak. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let's see now. So I think we discussed all 12 series, yeah, and covering the captains. So I guess my next question to you, Daniel, is, and to anyone out there, if you're still listening, I don't see anybody, so I'm sorry. Um, what I guess of all the series, what do you think, in your opinion, is your best captain? Like, if you had to pick a captain, who would be your best?
Well, the captain I would pick is uh oh, I'm so torn between Benjamin Sisko and Captain Kirk.
I am too. I am too. Oh, dude, we're thinking alike again. I am. I'm torn between those two. Though I could throw in Archer as a dark horse. He'd be my dark horse pick. But that's only because I really like Scott Bakula.
Yeah, it's hard, but I don't know. I think sometimes I put Kirk first. Sometimes I put Cisco first.
Yeah.
I think the way I
Now,
would rank them now is
sure.
Benjamin Cisco is number one.
Yeah.
Cisco, no, Kirk is number two, and
Okay.
Archer is number three.
Yeah. That'd be your top three. Yeah. That'd be your top three in captains. Well, that sounds good, dude. Um, yeah. Like you said, I find it hard between Shatner and Brooks because they're both great actors. They're both Shakespearean trained. I try to go deeper into their past histories. Uh, well, Brooks has done a lot of Broadway. He's done a lot of live stuff, and he's really good at what he does. And then of course Shatner, who's done a lot of Shatner plays, and, well, Shakespearean plays, and then he was great as T.J. Hooker. I thought that was a great series for him. And then later on as Denny Crane in the Boston Legal series, I thought he was hilarious in that because he could banter with the best. One of the actors, James Spader, that was on that series, he could banter with him, and mix wits with other actors and so forth. So yeah, uh, I think for my top three, yeah, I feel the same, except what I would do is only by a slight margin would I put James T. Kirk in first, and then Benjamin, and then I would definitely put Jonathan Archer as the third one for sure. So basically Shatner, Brooks, and then Bakula. Yeah, that'd be my top three. Which is kind of ironic, since you and I both thinking along the same lines there, uh, around the same captains. And I'll just put that out there to anyone else that does rewatch the stream. I appreciate your comments that you make later on. Uh, There was Nemesis Comedian who sent me something after I did the James Bond franchise, and a couple other people that left comments. So yes, I encourage every one of you to leave a comment, and in the comment, just say who was your favorite Star Trek, uh, captain of any of the 12 series that is out there, and then let me know why. And I read them. I do. I look back. I read them. I look over them and everything. And well, Daniel, I have to say, I really, once again, you're an awesome co-host. I love having you. I'm going to have you as my one of my permanent co-hosts down the line as I go on and do these random streams and put them out there and see what people think. And I really do appreciate your input, buddy. You're very knowledgeable, very forthright, and got a great attitude, wonderful personality, and I really like you, dude. Seriously, you're a brother. I consider you a brother. So uh, I'm glad you came today. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks. It was really fun.
It is fun. I love doing these. Do you have anything to offer on your channel? You want to
Well,
offer yourself?
I haven't done anything on my channel yet. I don't know how to make videos or streams.
Okay. Well, you could be the master lurker.
Yeah.
If you want me to, you could change
Yeah, I
your name
guess.
and call it the master lurker. That would be cool, chief lurker, with a beautiful dog named Coco.
Yep.
By the way, yes. So you can put yourself as Lurker and Coco, or Coco the Lurker. I just try to come up with some headline names you could put underneath there. That'd be cool. As you can see, mine is Canadian Super Captain Spy. I took from my two streams I've done. I told John DeMarco at Jet Nerdy the other day, on last Saturday, that I changed it to Canadian Super Spy because I used to be Commander Redshirt.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you recall that. And I asked him, I said, John, was it okay to change it? Because it was my first stream, and I figured since I talked about James Bond, I wanted to change it to that. He said, yeah, no problem. Because I really do. I appreciate his input as much as I do yours, sir. I really do appreciate that you have that insight and everything. I just thought maybe John would, give me a thumbs up, and I guess he did. So, so I decided to do that. Then I threw in the captain. There you are.
Yeah.
Where is Coco?
Oh, he went out with my mom.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's okay. Yeah, Coco's a pretty dog. Yes. Yeah, he or she, right? She, he.
No, it's a he. Yeah.
It is a he. Sorry. Sorry. Yes, he. He is handsome. Very handsome. Is he a Shih Tzu mix?
Mm-hmm.
Like Shih Tzu and a cocker or
well, I don't know if he's a pure Shih Tzu. I had a pure Shih Tzu. His name was Kiko. We got him in 2005, May 2005.
Okay.
And he passed away on April 28th, 2021.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, he had prostate cancer.
Yeah, did he have those welts on his underside?
Yeah, it was really, oh my God, just horrible. And
I know, and they look terrible. I lost a dachshund named Queenie, same problem. She ended up having severe form of cancer to her lungs, and the next thing you know, you have these cancer lesions that are starting to show up on the underside. I'm not gonna go much more into it. It's unpleasant. It's not a very pleasant thing. So, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, it's a tough loss, especially if Kiko is was definitely a member of your family and considered a family.
Oh yeah, well, Coco loved his big brother a lot too. He loved him, and he's still looking for him. When we put him on the deck, we used to put Kiko and Coco on the deck together.
Yeah.
To this day, he's still looking around for Kiko.
Oh,
Coco is.
Or Coco. Oh, that makes me a little sad.
Now,
Oh,
I really want to get him a new little brother, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, we're talking about it, but it's a
yeah,
kind of an on and off thing.
right. Yeah, I know. And the thing about it too is that your I want to say your life does seem a little bit empty because Kiko's not there.
Yeah.
It's just a part of you that all of a sudden disappeared. You're like, you know, that part of my life I'll probably never be able to recover. That's how we were with Queenie. We just didn't know what to do at that point. My parents were distraught because they're dog lovers. They love them. I mean, right now they have a dog named Birdie, and she's a huge bull mastiff. They love big dogs like that. So yeah,
I
but
wish I
yeah,
can.
it's
I wish I can give you pics of him. We have lots of pics of him. He's adorable. He was amazing.
yeah maybe when we do together the next stream, yeah, see if you can find those pics. I would love to see what he looked like, Kiko.
Yeah, he was such an amazing little guy, and my God, yeah, I wish I never fell into a deep depression in 2012, because I remember when I fell into a depression, I was stuck at home. I mean, I couldn't get out of bed. I was bedridden, and
Oh no, oh
for
no,
like for
sorry.
like 3-4 years, I didn't go to the beach. And Kiko was always coming into my room, coming to get me, so I can go to the beach with him, because he loved the beach and he wanted me to come along. But I couldn't. I was so weak. And
Yeah,
so for summer 2012, 2013, and 2014, I didn't go to the beach, and I missed those years with Kiko at the beach. But
oh
then in
wow,
2015, oh my God, I had to go to the beach with
yeah.
Kiko, and oh, he was so happy. He was so happy I was coming with him. And I remember he was running around in circles. He was so happy. And then I remember my dad took him to the car, and I
Right.
remember he was barking so loud. He was so happy that I could hear him all the way from inside the house. And
Huh.
oh my God, that was like one of the best days of my life, because Kiko was so festive, and he was,
And
yeah, it was so
and
funny.
because right, and because he missed you, when you weren't able, when you said you were bedridden and you weren't able to be there with him, and he felt so forlorn, but he still loved you and still cared for you, and like you said, when you were able to get out there, that's the best thing. You know, we had the similar situation with Queenie. We loved to walk with her, and she loved to trot along. Those dachshunds, they remind you of little hot dogs. So
Yeah.
if you can imagine, if you can imagine this little hot dog, you know, walking on the sidewalk, and I didn't dare put her in the street if I walked her, on the asphalt, because, we lived in Arizona. It's hot, it's miserable, it's dry, and the poor little girl was just, didn't want to burn her feet or anything. So we mostly wanted to, you know, she was pretty heavy and we couldn't really carry her. So we would take her to the park, let her, we would drive to the park and then we'd walk across the street to the park with her being carried somehow. And then we'd leave her there and then, walk her around and she would run around in the grass, chase, little squirrels back then. And then they had these little because it's in the desert, they had these little prairie dogs, little tiny little prairie dog things. So uh, we had to be careful because Queenie would go chase them, and we're still talking about a desert here. Not a lot of places were green yet at that time. We had her, and we were worried that she would run into a barrel cactus or jumping cactus or something like that. She did get caught one time with needles, cactus needles, and I was like, wow, yeah, poor thing. We had to get her out of her paws because she just kept running, and but then all of a sudden you hear this, and you're worried. So yeah, but she was a good member of our family for about I think it was about 10 years. I think my mother said that when she died, she was like 15 or 16 years old. So in our human years, we had her for about 10. Yeah, she was a very little puppy back when we got her. So, and then grew to be a very heavy dog. Like I said, like a hot dog.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that was fun. It was fun when we had her when she was around. Um, my wife Suzanne, who's a big cat lover, as you've seen, uh, her best pet was Lucky. She had him for about 16 years, 15, 16 years. Um, and just like you and me, it was the loss of her family. He was her son. Lucky was a big guy, a little tiny kitten when she first got him, and he lived with her for a while, and then I met Suzanne. So then, when I came to visit, he took to me right away, and he gave me this meow 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 meow. Want me to tell all his life story. He
Hmm.
was one of those very vocal cats that loved to talk, and so so then in 2015, I officially became his daddy, and for when he was still around, and then was proud to be his dad until around 2017 and January, he passed away. So, but it was he was so used to being the head of the household. We had little cats that were under him. Some kittens we've got. They used to be called Chaos and Mischief and Troublemaker, and then he watched over them. So he was the big daddy. Very, very beautiful and handsome cat. So I miss him. I miss Lucky too. Um, but now we've got two wonderful girls. The one on my avatar, of course, is Moon Pie, and then the other one we have is Deja Vu, and they're beautiful black Persian cats. I love them. They're our daughters. We take care of them because we were unable to have kids of our own. So, but now we have our kids. I mean, they're our girls. We've had them combined of the two of them 8 years. So very happy for that. Uh, so, Mr. Daniel, anything else you want to let me know about your channel or what places
Uh,
you like to frequent?
um, no, I don't post anything on my channel. I wish I did, but I can't now.
Yeah. Um,
So,
and our I think one of our other friends, Captain Fandom Nerd. Hello, Fandom. Do you want to jump in for a couple minutes? We're gonna be here at least till I think till almost. I want to say, yeah, we'll stay till 6. We'll hang out, unless you have something else to do. But we'll stay till about 6. There he is, right there, Captain Fandom Nerd. Yeah, we're just talking about strange new captains, and Daniel's Hot Topics was very gracious enough to come join me today in the panel. Uh, there are 12 Star Trek series I'm sure you're aware of, which range from the original series to the recent Strange New Worlds. And what we're basically talking about is, of those 12 series that we've each encountered and viewed in our own way, uh, what would probably be your three top starship captains, and just a little brief reason why. Uh, if you want to come up here and let us know, or you can tell me in the chat. That's fine too. But yeah, we'll be here a little bit. So what I like about it, Daniel, just real quickly to tell you, or to go back into the captain thing here for a sec. What I really like is the fact that you and I both agreed that in their own way, Kirk and Cisco, and to effect Archer, really did bring a moral code, if you want to say it, to each of their characters. I think that with Kirk being so aggressive in the way that he was in their series, and then for uh, and you have to admit, Shatner did have his moments. Ah, there's Captain. Hold on, Captain. There you are. Captain Fandom Nerd. Say hello to Daniel. Daniel, say hello to Captain Fandom Nerd.
Hi, Captain.
Hey, Daniel, what's going on?
We're just having fun here. I was told by my best friend who was here earlier, one of my best friends, because you guys are my best friends too, but but one of my other friends, Trusty Ape, suggested I do some random streams, just off the cuff. And I decided right around about 3 o'clock Eastern my time. I said, you know what? I'll just do a thing about Starship Captains, and since there's been like 12 series out there of Star Trek, and since Picard just ended and Strange New Worlds just started, uh, I wanted to get everybody's views and ideas of who their best captain was, and we've been discussing that. So, for you, Captain Fandom, since you're such a big lover of all things Trek, who would be your 3 top captains, your starship captains, and why?
Okay. Kirk. Cisco.
Uh huh.
Ooh, the third one. That's gonna be tough.
And by the way, you are matching both of what me and Daniel said, except we kind of interspersed between Cisco and Kirk. I believe Daniel said he started with Cisco, then went to Kirk. I went from Kirk to Cisco. But then I came up with Jonathan Archer too. So he was like third for me. And I think Daniel's does too.
I would have Archer. Archer was a good captain.
Yeah. So he'd probably be like your third best, right? Probably.
Exactly.
Ah. Well, this is great. I have a panel that agrees on 3 great starship captains. I'm batting 1,000. I'm doing well. Take that, Captain Finity. Anyway, yeah, no stab at him. Sorry, but but he doesn't think I know anything. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I won't go there. So yeah, we all pretty much agree then that Kirk and Cisco and Archer all had a unique take on their being a captain and what it involved and how they changed a lot of history going forward to bring about these other series that are out there. Well, Picard was, like I said, but now it's Strange New Worlds with Pike, Anson Mount. Uh, I don't know. Daniel said that he's already seen like. Did you see like the first couple of episodes of Strange New Worlds, Daniel?
Yeah, I think I watched a lot of the first season, and
Oh yeah, it's already a season. Oh my god. Okay.
yeah, it's yeah. I remember like it was a shock. Like for example, when they ran into the Gorn, I know a lot of people complain that the Gorn, they changed the Gorn. The Gorn are like the xenomorphs now, and they impregnate people, but by spitting on them, which is weird.
I don't remember the Gorn being that but to be fair, I only I take the episode the one where Shatner took him on, and he was a lizard-like creature. I didn't realize they changed them that much. Yeah. What about you, Captain Fandom? What impressed you about some of the later series?
Well, some of them it's just like Strange New Worlds. I wish they would just come out and say it was a reimagining.
Yeah.
Complete reboot. And if they were to do that, I think there'd be a lot of people who would be like, okay, cool.
Well, they'd be intrigued, right? If they said it was more of a reboot.
Right.
I mean, when I was talking to Daniel, I was under the impression, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong about this. I'm probably wrong, but I was under the impression that Strange New Worlds would fill the gap to some extent between Enterprise and the original series. And if they could make it canon, well, it would stand to reason because, you had, if you were thinking about the books, I guess someone could say Captain April was like, in the books was like their captain, and then if you went with Enterprise, of course, Archer, and then Pike. So if Pike is in Stranger Worlds, which he is, then I'm saying I thought maybe it was the connection between him until you went to the original series with Kirk. So. But then I'm not sure about that. So what was your? So we all pretty much agree that Kirk is like still one of our top captains. So as a purist, one purist to another, um, when the first time you watched the original series, what was your distinct impressions that you remember about Captain Kirk?
Well,
that you can remember.
I remember first time I actually watched Star Trek. It was at a babysitter's house,
Okay.
and it was after school, and Star Trek was on.
Yeah.
And so we had a choice. It was either nap time or watch Star Trek.
And you made the right choice.
Yes.
Okay. And so
I
what was
sat there and watched,
yeah, go ahead.
I sat there and watched, and it was just like I was intrigued. I mean, I was hooked. It had nothing to do with nap time anymore. It was just cool. Star Trek's on.
Yeah. I think that Daniel, when Daniel said he saw it, right, Daniel, in reruns, you were first intrigued too. Like,
Yep.
you saw your first episode, and you were like, wow, this is awesome. Yeah. That was my first impression too, was my dad introduced me to it because apparently he had seen it when it first came out back in the late 60s and, since 1966, according to the record. And, I was about 5 or 6 years old, and they had just started putting the first three seasons into syndication. So when I first saw my first Star Trek original series episode, I think it was the one that involved Nomad. And I said, huh, okay, a floating computer. How original. And then and it's always been one of my favorites because it's amazing how Captain Kirk was able to stop it by frying its circuits and making it, say, you made mistakes, you made errors, and you're not supposed to be making errors, and you made 3 errors, initiate your prime function, Oh, and the fact that he turned Uhura into a vegetable, a mental vegetable, unfortunately. But yeah, so some of those weird things, and of course, killing Scotty initially, but then bringing him back to life. Yeah, so yeah, that episode with Nomad was my first real initiation, I shall say, into the world of Trek. And I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to see other ones after that. So. But yeah, I think all three of us agree that Kirk was the man, or in most cases, Cisco was the man
Mm-hmm.
over there in DS9. So, yeah. And like we said, Archer. You know what I liked? One of the few things I did enjoy the most about Enterprise was the fact that at the end, when they said that the continuing voyages, these are the continuing voyages, that was the last episode of it. But I didn't like the fact that Riker and Deanna Troi, did a holodeck of it. That really burned my bum because this is the end of the series, and you have to tie in TNG to it as putting up a hologram of the event. That didn't sit well with me
No.
at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, but at the end, they did a recap of all the series up to that point, and they said different things for each series, and that was nice. That was a nice homage at the very end
Oh yeah.
because yeah. So that was cool. But yeah, I don't know why they did a hologram of it. That yeah, and I had I you know how they say in Star Wars, I have a bad feeling about this
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
in the movies. Well, I said that at the end episode of Star Trek Enterprise when they said uh, you know hologram doors, or and then they stopped it. Yeah, that just I had a bad feeling after that. I didn't know why, but then of course Discovery came a little bit later. So yeah. So what else? What intrigued you about the other captains you chose, or what did you feel about the captain?
Well, with Cisco, it was the fact that we first saw him as a commander,
Right. He didn't
and
officially. Yeah, he didn't officially become captain until he got uh, possession of the Defiant. Right.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go on.
But it was nice to see that he had, you know, he he started as a commander. We saw him grow in his development, and then he achieved being a captain and continued to grow in as a character. Um,
And then he basically saves the universe against Golden Cot and Winadami at the end with the fire caves and the apocalypse.
oh yes.
Yeah, yeah. So he achieves a uh, out, white outfit like an angel. Uh, it basically it basically said that Golden Cot went to hell and he went to heaven, or what their interpretation was a heaven in that final episode of DS9. So, what we leave behind. Daniel was so kind to remind me the name of that episode, the title.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was very nice of you, Daniel. I appreciate that. You're very helpful. I know, definitely you are. So, and we got two people looking in. Well, welcome to your two people that came in to see us. So yeah, Cisco. So Daniel and I had pretty much the same impressions you did. And for me, I always thought that Cisco uh, was firm. Uh, he was a great dad, as Daniel so eloquently uh, pointed out to Jake. They had good times together. There was that time that Jake almost lost his dad, but then got him back. Uh, and then of course, what with the scene there with the apocalypse and everything, and knew he wasn't coming back. But I thought what was very nice of Nerys, Kira, was to comfort him and said, your dad will be recognized as a great captain, defeating the Dominion, along with the help of the Cardassians, or the well, eventually the Klingons and then the Cardassians, after that. So, and the Bajorans and everybody else that helped out. So yeah, I thought that Cisco had an evolution, which was the best part, and of course Kirk learned a lot of things too. But his evolution was sort of I don't know what the best word is. Help me out here. Skewered? Is
Yeah,
that a good word? Skewered?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So help me out, guys. Yeah. Okay. So skewered. Yeah. Okay. So that sounds right. Yeah. I mean, that's just how Kirk was. You know, when he started out, he was scared. You know, but of course he would shoot first, ask questions later. He was a womanizer. He did a lot of things that he wasn't supposed to do, including breaking the Prime Directive. You know, he was notorious for that. How many? What was it? Those the Time Lord type guys told Cisco in Trials and Tribulations that he broke the time 11 times. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 times. They made him look like a badass, you know, like a bad person. And then one of the Time guys says, "Excuse me." One of the Time guys says, "Well, I would have done the same thing." Who would have you done the same thing for, Kirk or Cisco? What Cisco's uh, solution was in that, and that was a great crossover too between that episode of the Trouble with Tribbles and Trials and Tribulations. Hello, Miss Yvette. Good evening. It's good to see you.
Oh, I heard that one of my friends years ago told me that William Shatner wasn't really happy with that episode
Right.
because he was like,
I
oh,
wonder.
you know,
Okay.
he didn't. I don't think he got paid any royalties for that episode, so he was upset. You know.
Oh, that's right. Well, the original crew, right? The original stars that were featured in that crossover episode, didn't they get any royalties? Anything?
No, I don't think so.
Do you recall that, Captain Fandom? Do you know if they
You
got
know,
any royalties or anything?
that hadn't uh, that hadn't come up in anything I'd searched, so no, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that would be a nice future random stream to figure out why that particular episode they didn't get their just due, I guess, for appearing, even if it was just replaying some of the old episode. I would have thought they would have got something for that cross over. Huh. Interesting. Well, like I said, we should examine that at a later time in another stream. That would be interesting to find out if they did get their just royalties or not. Yvette, um, thank you for definitely a good evening to you. And of course, Captain Fandom, of course, said hello. Thank you, sir, for uh, coming to join us on this panel. Yvette, if you would like to offer your insight, we do have a StreamYard posting at the very top there. In fact, I'll put it down one more time. I can copy it, paste it. And then if you want to join, I'd be more than happy to have you come join us. Get a lady's perspective on this, if you want.
Absolutely.
I'd love for her to come in. There you are, Miss Yvette. Please come join us. We'd love to hear your insight. We're going to be here for at least another half hour. I'm shooting for that, maybe an hour, but I would like to hear from you a little bit if you want to come in. Yeah, so and then of course now we can talk about quickly about Archer. When I first saw the what was that? Darn it, I forgot the name of the first episode of Enterprise. It was Broken Arrow,
Broken Bow.
Broken Bow.
Broken Bow.
Yeah, Broken Bow,
Mhm.
Oklahoma. Right. Okay, Broken Bow. So okay, so when he comes in, uh, he's I guess you could say he was very apprehensive of wanting to do this mission initially when he talked to the admiral who was in charge. But ever since Ephraim Cochrane had, developed the first warp ship, and then of course the Vulcans, uh, they like to live in denial and say they didn't help the Federation or the early Terrans from helping them with their ships and building, and helping them build practically their entire fleet, and everything else. Yeah, they don't like to adhere to that. But anyway, um, Archer, growing up, said he didn't trust them, the Vulcans, and well, I don't know if he was right about that. What do you guys think? Was he right about that before they got to Paul, to join the crew? What was your impression about that? What do you think, Captain Fandom or Daniel? Do you think that we should have trusted the Vulcans and had a Vulcan officer in our
Mm,
crew?
uh, I don't know. I think Archer was sort of justified because the Vulcans they kept a lot of things to themselves. They didn't really do anything to help humanity improve. They kept all their technology to themselves, and they kind of kept humanity where it was. And he was
That
just upset. He was upset because they could have been further down the line in knowledge and advancement.
Sure. So they kept us down, right? That was your impression too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was my same impression as well. Did you? Were you thinking along the same lines yourself, Captain Fandom?
Well, it's interesting in the initial watch of it. That was my first thought, but then having seen the entire series, it's like you could see why the Vulcans held back.
Because we were such an aggressive race, maybe.
Well, there are certain things that need to be learned in time,
Yeah,
and don't need to be just handed to you. And
right.
unfortunately, it, it a lot of things have to be learned. So I can understand the humans feeling held back, but I can also understand that there's a reason why the Vulcans did it.
Right. Well, as we both, as all three of us recall, uh, it was a uh, Klingon named Klang who came to Broken Bow, crashed there, I guess, and he was needing protection because he said there was a plot to undermine the Federation and the Vulcan High Command or whoever was in charge at that time. And so, because they had the ship available and ready to go, that's why they got Archer to say, "Look, you're going to have to bring this Klingon back to his home world of Kronos, uh, but you're going to need a Vulcan representative." And if I recall correctly, T'Pol wasn't exactly in the brightest of moods to help them.
No,
No, I think Archer had to beg practically to get her to stay. You know, but then I never understood down later on in the series why she fell in love with Trip. I never understood that because she was not. She was fully Vulcan, right? She wasn't human. She did not like Spock.
correct.
Yeah.
In season 5, they would have revealed that uh, T'Pol's father was a Romulan.
Oh.
Ah,
Ah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, that would have explained a lot of things for her mood swings, her aggression. Of course, we see that in a lot of women, but that's okay. But that's okay. You know, we loved them anyway. I love my wife because she and I know we have moods, and but we love it. We love each other still for that. That we can talk each other and be able to communicate. But see, Topal was just that would make a lot of sense because she had a lot of aggressive feelings like that. And when she realizes that Trip is attracted to her, well, As we say, the sparks flew to some extent. But yeah, but anyway, yeah. So what I understand then from you guys is that it was there was reasons for everything. There was reasons that the Vulcans held us back, but then of course, we wanted to go out there. We wanted to explore, and we felt that we could safely, wise, go out there and explore and new worlds and things. And I think that's why one of the reasons I enjoyed Enterprise again, also, excuse me, so much, was that we were going out to explore. I mean, you know, it really, I mean, if you really want to either compliment or blame someone for our intrigue to go out there, it was Zefram Cochrane, right? Because of his first contact with the Enterprise D, oh, sorry, E, with Picard and the rest, going to that point. But then, you know, after we got started and with building ships of our own, little scout ships, and we took to Mars and the moon and built something on the moon and everything else like that. Then we said to the Vulcans, "Well, look, we appreciate you guys, meeting us and discussing technology and all that, but all that time you were just shortchanging us. You didn't want us to explore. You thought they probably thought we were the last race to go out there and, with our past history and go out there and try to find new worlds, right? So, yeah, no, I understood their reasons, but it is an interesting thing just to kind of look at and say, well, what if we didn't go out? What if we didn't have Enterprise, NX-01? Then what would have happened? So it's intriguing. It is. Just find out how far, if there had been other series that would have gone on after Enterprise. So yeah, there was a place for it. When I watched it, I thought, yeah, there's a place for this in the Star Trek universe. I agreed, and I thought and it was good, and I liked it. I mean, to me, Scott Bakula is two things to me that I grew up watching as a kid. He's Sam Beckett of Quantum Leap, and he's Jonathan Archer of Star Trek Enterprise.
Yeah,
that's how I relate to him. Yeah, he's a captain and a time traveler. I know that sounds weird. Was there any actors, Daniel? I think you mentioned a few yourself, but I don't know. Captain Fandom, did you mention any actors or actresses from any of the series that appealed to you? Because Daniel and I, we both mentioned a few actors and actresses we liked from the different series, including the captains.
well, I liked the Renee Auberjonois.
Oh yeah, Odo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from DS9. Yeah, we just talked about him, didn't we, Daniel? About Odo.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was in an old series. I think Daniel said he was in
The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Mary Tyler Moore Show. And if you see the episode he's in, and then realize how, he's under all that makeup, you're like, hey, whoa. Oh man, yeah, Odo. Go ahead. So who else? Who else appealed to you, actresses or actor wise?
I'd really have to give that some thought.
Oh yeah, there was one actor I just remembered who I want to quickly mention, and Daniel will remember it too. I hope. Remember when Dwayne the Rock Johnson was in an episode of Voyager, and
Yeah,
and he battled out Jerry Ryan? Yeah.
It was called Tonkatsu. It's really
Tonkatsu.
good.
Wow. Yes, it is. And of course, he was involved with the wrestling, federation and everything. But I thought him fighting Jerry Ryan, 7 of 9 in the Takatsi arena. Wow. What a great fight that was. I mean, because you've seen Dwayne the Rock in Journey to the Center of the Earth, and you know a movie I have of his called San Andreas, which I think is a great disaster movie. Um, he's been in a lot of other stuff. Oh, he recently did Black Adam. He was the lead in Black Adam in the DC universe. He meets up with Superman at the end of that movie. Whoops, spoiler alert. Sorry. Henry Cavill's character. But yeah, I just remembered that. Just that was one of my favorite episodes, and to really, to see Dwayne back then, and I was like, wow, yeah. And he still did that famous nod of his, where he goes up with his eyebrow and does a nod thing. He even did that in the episode. I guess it's his trademark. I guess I don't know. But anyway, Captain Fandom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off track there. But yeah, who else did you enjoy besides Renee Auberjonois?
I would have to say another one would be Mark Leonard.
Mark Leonard, okay. He played Sarek, right?
Yes, he played both. And that was his main role that he was known as a Sarek.
But he was also that Romulan captain in the original series.
Mhm.
What was the name?
Balance of Terror.
Balance of Terror.
Correct.
Thank you. Yes.
And I just happened to watch that last night.
That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Rather than give him the cloaking device or something to that effect, he committed suicide and blew up the ship rather than, face boarding or capture or surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then they were able to get that device anyway later on, with the female commander that Spock was hired to seduce in a way. You remember that episode, you?
Oh yeah.
Just yeah, Kirk as a Terran couldn't get to first base at all with the female Romulan commander in that. But Spock, being a fellow Vulcan, or well, in the case she's a Romulan, but he's a Vulcan. But then I guess he was able to appeal to her more emotional than warlike state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I understood from that. But, yeah, well, and in a way, uh, Spock was trying to appease. Remember Tasha Yar's sister in TNG with Unification parts 1 and 2. Uh, Denise Crosby came back to play Selah Yar, or yeah, was it Selah or Seska? Selah, right? Okay.
Sela?
So yeah, with Selah Yar, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, twin sister. or if you want to believe, test tube baby sister of Denise
No,
Crosby.
I think that was like, I think Sela was like the daughter of Tasha Yar. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Like when the alternate reality Tasha Yar came through,
Right.
when they fixed the timeline or something. I don't think they fixed the timeline. I think that timeline still exists.
Yes.
But like when she came through, she was captured by the Romulans, and then she got married to a Romulan because she was forced to. So,
Right.
And then they gave birth to Sela.
Yeah. Okay. That was All right. Well, you remember it better than I do. I just knew that they were connected biologically. But yeah. But then Sela ended up becoming the warlike leader at that point, with blonde hair, by the way, stark blonde, white hair, I think, for unification. But my favorite from that, of course, is where Data was being taught the Vulcan nerve pinch from Spock. Because Spock obviously knew that Data was an android, but also at the point that Data was curious. What is that move you made? He calls it the Vulcan neck pinch, and he says, "Well, how do you do that?" You know, and he was teaching him. I thought, okay. I mean, Data's already a strong built android. He can throw people across the room. Maybe not so much Spock himself if they got into a fight or something, which would have been an interesting course. But yeah, and then of course Data was trying to recall in his data bank so Spock's official age, and of course Picard stopped him. Don't do that. Let his age be a mystery. Yeah, I recall Picard having to do that a few times to stop Data from you know reading back useless facts and everything. So yeah, that was cool. So yeah, so then Captain, so you liked Renee Auberjonois. There was a few others you said you liked, and Daniel and we both said we liked a few of ours. Uh, I'll tell you this much. Going back to Janeway for a minute, I felt really bad for Kate Mulgrew. I really did. Because, well, considering that Genevieve Bujold would have been the original captain before she took the role. And I was like, no, 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 Bujold, no. I said, no. I said, yes, thank you. Kate Mulgrew, yes, thank you. That's better. Yeah. And I don't think most people remember that Bujold almost had the role before Mulgrew took it of Captain Janeway. So there's some knowledge for you today, folks. Um, because Bujold is not an ugly person. She's very nice, very pretty looking actress and did a lot of stuff. But yeah, but no, I can't see her as Janeway at all. No, no way.
Mm, no.
Yeah, no. Uh, but yeah, but that being said, I think that Janeway, real briefly for a few minutes, I think Janeway does get the flack. Maybe for, well, first of all, getting trapped in the Delta Quadrant in the first place. She got blamed for that. And then, of course, she got blamed for uh, a lot, maybe instigating a lot of other interstellar feuds, shall we say. Well, especially with Species 8472, against the Borg. Uh, what is it? Love thy enemy and help that enemy beat the 8472 and like okay. Uh, but I did enjoy the fact that at the end that she did come up with even though it did take, according to her record, it took another 20 years or so before they could come up with the adequate enough technology to send her future self back to the past so that they could defeat the Borg and still somehow get them back home after 7 years being in the Delta Quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine how many pages that would be, Captain Fandom? Remember that she said she'd give the full report to Admiral Paris, Tom's dad. I can only imagine how much data is in that report of 7 years. It's mind-boggling.
That would be a lot.
Yeah, it would fill up a lot of data tapes, don't you think, Daniel?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my god. Probably be like a whole library. This is the Voyager's 7-year journey. And their library of archives. Yeah, that would be interesting. And then she becomes an admiral. And she tells off Picard in Nemesis of what's going on with the Romulan Empire. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Admiral Janeway. I know that Picard didn't really say that, but I don't know if that was me. I probably would have said it. Yes, ma'am. Just like Tom Paris did a lot. Yes, ma'am. At least he was respectful to his captain. He didn't treat her like an inferior. He treated her like an equal. Uh, I guess, but then of course he, had a baby with a Klingon, so Balana. So I guess maybe that was inevitable. For a human and a Klingon to mate, I guess. Uh, well, I guess it's not as difficult to believe as Trip and T'Pol and Enterprise, because it was never intimated. But I guess that's what happened with them. But yeah, that's the thing that intrigued me too was relationships. So now I got another subject to pursue in a future stream: relationships among Star Trek lore. Uh, that would be a very interesting side note. And okay, so let's see. Yeah, we're almost done. So I appreciate you, Captain Fandom Nerd, for coming in, and
Of
definitely
course.
you, Daniel Hot Topics, for coming by.
Yeah.
I want to hear your plans on what you plan on doing. Well, Daniel said that he loves to come into the streams and lurk around. So I told him he could use his dog's name, Coco, and become Coco the Lurker, or the Great Lurker, or the Master Lurker, or just say your brother Daniel, and I could go for that. I could definitely follow that. Captain Fandom Nerd, what have you got coming up in your future?
Oh, I don't really have anything planned right now, but
Okay, yeah. Like I said, for me, it's random streams. I'm trying to come up with subjects as I go. Uh, I have read some of my community tracks, I believe, and uh, one person I think, well, one person I talked to, I don't know if they actually put it in the chat. It's our community comments. I'm still learning almost all the time about YouTube.
hmm
Uh, I learned that somebody wants me to talk about Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, so we could do a whole franchise stream on that. Uh, those two combined because one leads into the other and vice versa. We can also talk about uh, everything Harry Potter because we own every Harry Potter film as well as LOTR and The Hobbit. So if we do a Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, we definitely have to do a Harry
Do
Potter.
you like Do you like Marvel movies?
Yeah, I love Marvel movies.
Yeah, I love I just again that's one of the things we can talk about. Like, I really want to talk about like the future of Marvel. Like for example, Deadpool 3 is filming right now, and Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine,
Yeah, as
which
Logan. Yeah, he's coming
yeah,
back
which is
as
like,
Logan.
a surprise because like back in 2017 after he did Logan, he said that's it. He's never coming back.
And I thought he died.
Yeah, he died, but I guess they found a way to bring him back because like if you watch Loki, that was a good show by the way.
Yeah,
They
Loki, yeah.
introduced the multiverse, and
Yes.
they introduced like the sacred timeline and everything because Loki went back and went to the future, he went to the end of time,
Yeah,
and they introduced the sacred timeline and how it branches off from each other, and it's just
and
yeah, they're
yeah,
gonna get a variant. They talk about variants on that show, variants of different characters.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
what do you think, Captain Fandom? Do you think a good Marvel universe, past, present, future, would be a good stream?
oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I'm sure
cool.
you'd have a lot of people who'd be interested in watching that.
You know what? That does sound like a plan. Wow. I'm surprised you guys actually came up with a great. The two of you together came up with a great idea. Yeah. So I think we'll do that. I think we'll plan a future stream to go with the Marvel universe, and we'll go past, present, future, and talk about the movies we've seen and which ones we enjoyed and who what we recall and what we hope for the future. Um, just to add a little to that, my hope is that the Marvel universe and the DC extended universe do plan, if Kevin Feige is to be believed, that they're going to put together a crossover of the two universes against one common foe. And I don't know at this point. Well, I'm sure it's not going to be Thanos. He's dead. He's not coming back. But it could be against Apocalypse. It could be against Doctor Doom. It could be against Brainiac. I'm just naming villains out here that are formidable.
Mm-hmm.
It could be what is that one guy's name? The one with the laser eyes that go like
Oh,
in different.
Cyclops.
No, not Cyclops, and not Doctor Doom, but he's he's the one that Superman took on. That had those laser beams of his that would go at odd angles, like a check mark angle.
Oh, Darkseid.
Darkseid. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
He's a new
Yeah,
god.
Darkseid.
He's a new god of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
He's like the opposite of Apocalypse. Actually, he's like or no, the opposite of Thanos. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they hinted. Okay, I'm sure you guys have seen the X-Men series, right? That
Mhm.
part, X-Men. So in X-Men, when it was Dark Phoenix, that was the movie, and that's where Jean Grey destroyed Apocalypse, supposedly
Yeah.
wiped him out, and he was supposed to be the first mutant ever. From
Yeah, I've always
Egypt or
wondered,
whatever.
like, who is stronger, Dark Phoenix or Apocalypse? I've always wanted to see that fight, and we finally did.
Yeah. Well, Dark Phoenix is like a spirit, right? A spirit compressed of the universe itself, but like the darkest part of the universe. And it found a host in Jean Grey, and well, we know the rest. But it was intriguing just to see the very first mutant in Apocalypse being dominated like he was. Well, not dominated. Eventually defeated, but just seeing how that happened. But you could bring back Apocalypse. You could bring him back if you had to. But there'd have to be a lot of uh, tie-ins from other series from both universes to do that. I think it would be better to have Darkseid be the one.
Yeah, but they're a part of DC isn't its own DC is its own multiverse, and Marvel is its own multiverse. So you're gonna have to cross multiverses. Like it's kind of I don't know how they can do that.
I don't know how they're going to do it either. My best guess, as I said, the last I heard from Kevin Feige was that sometime in either 2025 or 2026, after they've done Phase 4 of the Marvel universe, and then after they've done Phase 4 and after DC has done some of their extended series on some of their characters like Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, all of that. The X-Men, I think they're going to reboot the X-Men again, and they're going to do another reboot of, which is hard to believe, of the Fantastic Four. I'm like, why? But that's okay. So they're supposed to do all of these and bring them together. And like I said, around those years I mentioned, that's when they want to put up a crossover movie. It'll be like a trilogy because it's going to have to cover a lot of ground. Bringing the universes together, trying to get them along with each other, and then to face that final foe who wants to destroy the universe and start with Earth, and So that is still in the works, and like I said, from what I heard, until they decide to expedite the process and move up all these movies and get them out as soon as they can, I don't think we're probably going to see a crossover my best guess is 2030, so about 7 years down the line is what I'm thinking. That would be the best time for a crossover now. You know,
Yeah, but they're two different companies. It's kind of I don't know how they can do a crossover. If Disney owned DC, like I would see that, but
right.
it's two different intra-company crossover. I never heard of an intra-company crossover before. I mean, they tried to do that back in the early 2000s.
Sure.
They tried to get X-Men, the Fox X-Men, and Sony Spider-Man and Universal Hulk together
Yeah.
in one movie,
Yeah.
but they couldn't do it because the companies couldn't agree on anything.
Yeah, they couldn't agree on what was it mostly? Finances, right? They couldn't agree on that. Was it finances, Daniel?
Yeah.
that the
Also,
main
yeah,
reason?
also they want each company they want to do their own thing, and it's also continuity and stuff like that.
For sure. Well, what do you think, Captain Fandom? If is a big if, but if Marvel and DC do get together, when's your best guess? And like I said, we'll definitely do the next live stream on this, and we'll discuss it a little bit more. But if you had your best guess, what would you think would be the best time to bring those two universes together? What do you think?
Well, with everything that's going on, I would have to say it's going to be probably closer to 2050.
Yeah, 2050.
Yep.
That's a good guess. Let me see. Okay, I'll be 85 years old when that comes out. So I'll probably watch it on a portable, something plugged into my head or his body somewhere, and watch it that way. Automatic movies right at your fingertips. Just plug into your brain. Yeah, that'd be interesting. So 2050. Oh, that's a good guess. Yeah, I like that. Well, what about you, Daniel? What do you think is probably an ample year if you wanted to put those universes together? What do you think?
I was kind of like what you said before, maybe like 2028 or 2029 or something
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
I
Like something when I'm not too old, to enjoy it.
yeah, sure. No, that's why I said I was thinking. Uh, I'm looking at a gap here of at least anywhere from 7 years to 10 years. So we're saying basically well, I'm saying basically time between 2030 and 2033. That's when I think they're going to be able to put something small enough together that, or big enough in this case, together so that they can have some kind of crossover. I think a lot of people would enjoy that, especially uh, who knows, maybe future kids, future teenagers. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember these guys. Oh, I remember the superhero. I think he's better than this girl," or something like that. So yeah, I just say like, yeah, I'll just go with 7 to 10 year gap between now and when they plan to do it, and you know we might even be closer to Captain Fandom's prediction. We'll see, right? We'll see between us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Yvette, if you're still in the chat, thank you so much for being here. I see someone looking, so I hope that's you. Uh, Next time, Yvette, I really would like you to come and join us if you can. I know you got other things going on, but definitely would like you to come and see us next time. Uh, so I guess this is gonna go ahead and close out the chat. We've been here about 3 hours, so that's about a good enough time. But I do want to thank again Gorillas for stopping by. I do want to thank my one of my other friends, Sean Carter, who started us out today. Thank you for coming by as well. Yvette, Miss Yvette, thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Also, I do appreciate LDG Freenet. I believe he was here at least once. Yeah, there he is, Freenet. He was listening today. Also, my brother, Trusty Ape, my other brother from another mother. He's also a Daniel, as you're aware, Daniel. He was in, and I appreciate that. And of course, uh, I couldn't have done this without two awesome guys here today. Daniel's Hot Topics, and Captain Fandom Nerd for coming in and helping me out. And I believe that all three of us have come up with our next stream, which will be about the Marvel Universe. And we can probably also include DC as well, just to see where we think they're going to go from here. Because Daniel did say they've got Deadpool 3 going right now, and they want to bring Logan back as Wolverine for Hugh Jackman. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, uh, they're also going to come back with a reboot. Like I said, I believe it's either Fantastic Four or it's going to be the X-Men. But since
I
Patrick
think
Stewart,
both actually. Well, first comes Fantastic Four.
and then the X-Men,
Yeah.
right? And I'd be curious, especially with the Fantastic Four, I'd be curious how they would do the thing, or which actor would do the thing. Because I remember who did it before, and I don't think he can do it again. He didn't like all the makeup and stuff on him, if I recall.
Yeah.
The actor that played him, yeah. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Yes, that's what we're gonna do. Is we'll come up with a stream within the next, well, let's say a week, because I don't know what I'm doing the rest of this week. I've got fire drills going off in my building for the rest of the week, so I think it will be the weekend for sure. If you guys are okay with that, I'll try for some time on the weekend. What would be a good time for you guys that I could try? That I think you both would be available.
I don't know. Probably around this, like,
Well, because today I started around 3 o'clock this afternoon.
yeah. Probably around the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe 4. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so are you guys doing anything this coming Saturday? Like around 3,
Nope.
4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Nothing planned, no.
Nah, me neither. Nothing.
Nothing planned? Okay. So how about I go ahead, you two guys become officially my panel for the next stream, and I'll expect you guys, I'll wait for you to come in until we, you know, get started officially. And we will go ahead and then for this coming Saturday, we'll plan a stream around. Well, you know what? Let's shoot for 3:30. We'll go in between. So we'll go 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday. This coming Saturday, which is I believe June 10th, right? And then we're going to discuss the Marvel Universe and the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU, and the MCU, which is Marvel, and we're going to discuss past, present, and future, and for both franchises. And what we'll do is we'll just elaborate on what we know about the future coming up with the Marvel, the future that's coming up with DC, and then of course we'll each of us give you our picks for the best Marvel movies and the best DC movies we've seen, and we'd like your comments in the chat also. What you think is your favorite movie from either universe, and then we'll talk about the future, and we'll see what's going to happen with Deadpool 3 going, and the two we just mentioned about X-Men and Fantastic Four, and of course Logan coming back, so as Wolverine. So, with that being in mind, again, thanks Yvette also, as I said, and LDG is still here. Thank you too again, LDG, for being a listener and watching us today, and we appreciate your patronage as always. All right, so we'll go out here with a little bit of last speech thing here. First of all, Daniel, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being a part of the panel today.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
And Captain Fandom Nerd, thank you so much, buddy, for coming in. I know it was last minute. I'm sorry
No
that you
problem.
got here, but I appreciate you being here. And everyone, as I said, we've got a stream planned then for Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and that's 2:30 Central and 12:30 p.m. if I know my time right, Pacific time. I'll set it up later on this week, so we'll get it all ready for Saturday. And like I said, we'll discuss both Marvel and DC Universe. With that, I am Mikey Seuss4, or in this case today, I'm Mikey Kirk. That's Daniel's Hot Topics, and that's Captain Fandom Nerd. And we all say, live long and prosper, and kapla, and have fun.